Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Affairs is today expected to continue listening to families of the victims of violence allegedly carried out by the British Army Batuk officers in the country. Committee Chairman Nelson Koech will be listening to several families in Samburu County in an effort to ensure that justice is served for the victims. Yesterday, the committee camped in Laikipia, where they met the family of Agnes Wanjiru, a girl who was allegedly killed by one of the officers and her body thrown into a sewage tank.
Sasa hizi tunaongelelea kuhusu committee, tunyamaze tena mpaka kitu kingine jitokeze ndio tena hii kesi itarudi. Tunauliza ni mpaka lini? Tunataka haki ya Shiro itendeke. Tumengojea miaka mingi, miaka 12, tumechoka. Tunataka haki yake sasa.
Wale maafisa wote ambao watakuja wa Kenya kwa mazoezi ama kuweza kujifundisha mambo ama kutumia ardhi ya Kenya kufanya mafunzo yao na wafanya makosa ama kutoa uhai kwa binadamu yeyote wa taifa hili watachukuliwa hatua na kupelekwa kotini.
The committee also gave an opportunity to other victims who were allegedly attacked by Batuk officers in the Loldaiga tragedy, where more than 1,000 acres of vegetable fields were destroyed.
Mabomu waliwasha wakalipuka, wakadhirisha watu, wakakufa hata wanyama. Wakati tumeanza kuulizia hiyo maswali, wasungu wa hii mashamba wakaanza kuwaenda kuwafisha, wakakuwa wanafanya training kwao kujaribu kututorokea. Tena ndio hiyo bado wakiwa kule ndani, ndio hiyo tena bomu bado wamelipua huko ka affect sisi nje.
We would appreciate, this inquiry is not about evicting the British from Laikipia. It's about a more sustainable training. It's about reflecting how this training has been for the past decades it has been in existence, and eyeing for a more sustainable training that benefits the local community.
It should be noted that the British Embassy promised to cooperate with Kenya in ensuring that Agnes's family gets justice, while pressure continues to be mounted on the British government to take action against the officer who murdered her. Civil society organizations have vowed to hold mass protests across the country if the government implements the new tax proposals contained in the Finance Bill 2024. They further condemned President William Ruto for failing to honor his campaign promise to lower the cost of living, saying that life has even become more harder compared to before he came into government.
Wakenya wote taungana hapa ili tukasifu hili chambo na tuseme haiwezekani. Kwa hivyo tunamuuliza rais achukulie jambo hili kama la muhimu, na kila mara hatukazifu serikali, lakini sasa imebidi. Ikiendelea hivi mambo ya uhalifu itakuwa mingi na umaskini itakuwa mingi.
We love our government, as I said there before. As we love our government, as the government took power, as parastatals we had a lot of expectation that life is going to be a bit easier than it was there before. But it's quite unfortunate that we, in the sector of parastatals, there is a lot of things that the government has imposed in terms of taxes. Now life has become so expensive than it was there before.
Dennis Mwai Irungu, the police officer implicated in the murder of a U.S. Embassy staffer who was shot dead outside a Kiambu nightclub on Sunday, will be held for a further 14 days to allow for investigations. Kiambu Magistrate Wanjiru Nganga delivered the ruling in response to a request from the DCI. In the affidavit, Corporal Ruben Mwaniki of the DCI sought to detain Irungu, the prime suspect in the murder of U.S. Embassy engineer Anthony Kiono Njomo, saying they needed more time to gather evidence and round up witnesses.
And I agree with the applicant. The respondent is a person of influence, being a police officer, and there's a likelihood that he will interfere with witnesses and investigation if released on bail or bond. The court is equally called upon to balance the interests of the respondent hearing, who is presumed innocent until otherwise, and the public at large. A life was lost. It is for these reasons and in the interest of justice I am satisfied that the application dated the 28th May 2024 has merit and is therefore allowed as prayed. In conclusion, the respondent shall be detained for 14 days pending investigations.
That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Ship up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No. It's about shipping out. You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man?
Emmanuel Talamu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they'd been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raised a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Nairobi, Lafiff, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalimia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapa?
Hata sijui lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in
Benlow, Ninter, Yeninter, Ayu Makati Kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. Good. And he must blame it on Adam, not me. Because Adam messed up and he was told, now you fellow you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing policy of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Na hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning. It's Wednesday. We're in the middle of the week, and what do these streets look like? If you're coming off Ngong Road this morning, you will not have too much of an issue getting through towards the city centre. Traffic is moving along fairly well, and we're not going to get stuck, at least not for now. Let's look at the other side of things. From the Thika Superhighway, no traffic whatsoever. Maybe we're still early, but hey, it looks as though we're getting into the CBD round and about with no problems whatsoever. Not a pickup of traffic, at least not for now. Coming off Limuru Road, very, very good. Getting into Westlands and then Parklands and then into the city as well. On Landis Road, there's some action coming off of Jogo Road, and you get onto Haile Selassie. In and outbound traffic is already starting to build up, but it doesn't look too bad. The Eastern Bypass also looks good as you get into the city. If you're coming in through Outer Ring or then further ahead, coming in from Cabanas, North Airport Road, it's flowing, at least for now. Let's see what Wednesday has in store. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Hello.
What?
Welcome to Friday.
Okay. Sure, you can call it what. Look, perception is all about you. It's you. It can be whatever you want. You could be on Pluto right now, smoking puffs of smoke in the form of bunny rabbits. It's up to you. It looks like Friday, so be it, mon ami. It's okay. Yeah.
Imagine.
Yes. All you have to do is that.
Yeah.
Imagine.
So welcome to Friday.
Okay.
Umekubali?
Mimi.
Yeah. Wewe mekubali?
Yes, please.
Leo ni chuma. Kesho ni Sabato.
What?
Kesho ni Sabato. Leo ni chuma.
Oh, Ijuma. Saturday is Sabato. No, it's not. Why are you looking at me like that? Is it?
Yes.
Saturday is Sabato in Kiswahili. Ama nimeenda mbali?
Umekwenda mbali sana. Umekwenda mbali.
Umekwenda mimi.
Jumamosi ni siku ya Sabato.
Sabbath. Sabbath abi? Sabbath?
Si ndio?
Okay.
Kwani nimesema nini?
I didn't. It's just not putting it all together.
Nimesema nini?
Nimesema Sabato.
Bas. Otherwise mambo ikoaje?
Mimi niko poa. Uko salama?
Niko poa pia.
Nafurahi kukuona man.
Pia mimi nafurahi kuonekana. Siku njema huonekana asubuhi.
Alright.
Mimi na siku njema.
Wewe ndio siku njema. Alright.
Mimi ndio siku njema. Ukiniona siku njema ndio hiyo.
Okay.
Yes.
It's gonna be a good day.
It's gonna be a good day.
It's gonna be a lovely day.
Habari kila mtu wherever. Oh my goodness. I look for CT.
Nimeweka jana.
Type those things in that handwriting of his.
CT's handwriting.
You can't even
like
read the word Zimbabwe.
Steroids.
You can't even read the word Zimbabwe. Simple Z-I-Z Zimba. Hey. We. Sheesh. Okay. Anyway, let me tell you what we shall be discussing today. Today is that day. We've been talking about items. Oh. Sijui items. Oh, now today we shall tell you what items is all about. A lot about. And we will have a guest joining us in the studio. And his name is Andrew Momanyi. He is a tax expert at the items office of the Kenya Revenue Authority. Beyond the deadline, the benefits of generating items invoices. So yeah. This munatusumbua kwa nini with this thing of items generate invoice, generate mtu anajua kuna pesa yangu si anilipe.
Nivo, what is it?
You generate invoice. So he'll come and tell us why we need to be generating those invoices. And then Friday, the 31st of May 2024 is the World No Tobacco Day. The World No Tobacco Day is commemorated worldwide. The world is, that's where it comes in. But we shall have a conversation this morning ahead of Friday's national commemoration of World No Tobacco Day. We'll be joined by Anthony Mudhemba. He is the head of the Tobacco Control Unit at Nairobi City County.
and Rachel Kitonyo Devotsu, who's been here many times before, Senior Tobacco Control Advisor, Development Gateway. Okay? Those two, 7 a.m. to have this conversation. Kunaendaje mambo ya uvutaji wa sigara. There's been this conversation. Remember you had a conversation with Dr. Mercy Korir?
Yep.
This was now on the safer alternatives. And they're coming up with regulations on what is it? The graphics. The graphics.
On the packaging. Yes.
Cigarette smoking is harmful to your health. And all those are things that they say. So is it enough? When we say not tobacco day, but we have not classified tobacco as an illicit crop. Ni story gani tunapiga?
Hakuna. Stories are
Jaba. Okay, so those are the conversations for today. It's 16 minutes after 6. The live stream is up on YouTube, Facebook, Radio Garden, everywhere. It's unatushika loud and clear, sema loud and clear, and Ndu will give us a weather forecast thereafter. Mvua imeenda?
Ni kama inaenda, it's doing the dance.
Okay. Has that chick left the coast?
Yeah, Iyali.
Yeah,
ameenda.
She's gone.
Ameenda Comoros huko.
Sasa iko chini. Sawa.
Is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. It's 15 degrees, highs of 24 and lows of 14. And it's 15 and clear in Nakuru, going to highs of 25. Wednesday, we'll see highs of 25 in a mostly cloudy Nyeri, currently at 14. And it's 12 and clear in Eldoret with highs of 24. Looking into Mombasa, cloudy at 24 with highs of 30 today. And we'll see highs of 30 in a partly cloudy Malindi at 26. It's clear at 20 in Kisumu, going to highs of 28. And we'll see highs of 29 in a partly cloudy Kakamega at 17. Kampala is clear at 19, highs of 28, and we'll see highs of 31 in a mostly clear Dar es Salaam at 22. Looking into Johannesburg, it's 9 degrees. We'll see highs of 21 and lows of 8. While Mogadishu, partly sunny at 26, we'll see highs of 31. We're looking into a sunny Addis Ababa at 14, highs of 28, and Lagos is partly cloudy at 27. We'll see highs of 32. Kinshasa will see highs of 34. It's currently clear at 25. And we're looking into a sunny Beijing at 27 Wednesday afternoon. Highs of 32, 31 and lows of 21. Paris this morning raining heavily at 14. Highs of 16 and lows of 12. And it's cloudy at 14 in London with highs of 19. We'll see lows of 12. New York, Tuesday night is clear at 19. Coming into Wednesday, highs of 28 and lows of 16.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Nani yako awake?
Peter Kiarie is saying things. A slave that does not rebel does not deserve pity.
Jeez.
Okay. Well, good morning to you. He says Mombasa to Kondani. Jamal Malim, he says good morning from East Ley. And Moses Nyabura says hello Team Spice, tuned in from Westlands. Have you ever thought of inviting His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta? I feel it would be great to have him here in the hot seat. I think so too. I think that would be a great conversation to have.
Yeah.
Just chilling, hanging, asking what's going on, where you going, what you're doing. Things like that.
Now he can't tell us come to State House. He does not have State House.
He doesn't have status.
Yes.
Evans Ntabo says good morning to Eric Nyaboke. Muguka, please let's talk about it, please. A request, but we've been talking about it. Muguka. So, Kenneth Bushnell says, have a blessed day. Tune in from Mombasa is Robertson Boko. And Rochester, Minnesota is where Tano Teka is tuning from this morning. And one Mike says, good morning from Baltimore in Maryland. And tuned in from Washington State is Eva Wanyoike. Kao Nyambura says, good morning, everyone. Nawapenda sana. Wishing you a blessed day. Wala asante sana. Good morning, Dennis Hamisi. Team Spice. Desmond Ochi says, good morning. Mombasa Highway. Wait. Imagine the U.S. government controlling the Nairobi-Mombasa highway for 30 years. Hey, where? Okay.
Ati, imagine what?
The U.S. controlling the Nairobi-Mombasa highway for 30 years.
Yeah.
We should just imagine it. Okay. Just imagine. Imagine.
Okay.
Robinson Kisera tuning from Hong Kong. He says there's nothing more left to chew as Kenyans. When all is said and done, the gullible prevails. God help us. Wololo. Linus Rainman says, good morning to CT Eric and Ednah. It's my hope Mukopoa Alfajiri he. Alfajiri is early morning, right? I love that word, Alfajiri. Just sounds so...
Alfajiri.
So Swahili. Good morning, Team Spice. You are doing a commendable job. Asante sana. Keep it up. That's a Malala. Mashaya and Jeru says, good morning, everybody. Watching from Portland. Tax everything and everything. Everyone is the policy of the hustler government. Oy. Geraldino Chiang says, good morning. Tuning from 001, the county where no Muguka, GMZO. Oh, don't know. Where no Muguka, Lamtani wanasema wazee wanalala mapema hakuna kesha. Okay, sawa. Eliana Yabesh says, good morning, my people. Bonjour to good morning, Agola. Good to have you in the room. Shah is waving at us and we are waving back. Canada tuned in. Jumbo Spice family, says Meshach Jenga. Wakanda Nation, good morning, guys. Good to see you all. Thank you very much. Watching from Garden Estate, Mulembe Vosi. Looking forward to today's discussion, says Ruben Ambicha. Dr. Venvik is tuning from Tuda in Mombasa. Patrick Waishigo. Good morning, Team Spice. J'attends avec impatience de la bonne nouvelle ce soir en direct. Oh, okay. He's tuning from Washington State.
Okay.
Uku Dallas. Mais c'est en français.
Okay.
Patrick, good morning to you, or rather good evening on your side. Stella says, Uku Dallas were recovering from a tornado and the damage in their wake. Yes, it was quite devastating to see those. Georgia Court says, good morning to everybody watching live from Miami. Emmanuel Mugendi says, good morning. I see Eric has decided today identifies as Friday. Yes. Yes, in his mind it does. Good morning, guys, says Nick Aradi. Jeffrey Mogaka is tuned in this morning. John Macau, Chris Choto, we see you tuned in from Isiolo. Michael Olande says good morning. Jimmy Ricker says also here. Lameko Chen is tuning from Athi River. Ahmed Nje Abdullahi says loud and clear, and he has said Komasava.
Common service.
Common service. If French was spelled the way it's pronounced, it would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, Charles Muyala says good morning from Mombasa County. Amos Freeman tuned in from Kimilili. Mushiri John says good morning, and Ado Ali Ismail is tuned in from Tuda, Kiziwi.
Kabisa. Now you know there's a group of Kenyans who cannot say Zimbabwe. They say Zimbabwe.
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 They don't put the M where it ought to be.
Yeah. And now can you imagine where they'd put the N in the name Emerson Mnangagwa?
Mnangagwa.
That's the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe. It's a unitary presidential republic. City has gone. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Oh, by the way,
City is not here. Sorry.
Yeah, City is not in today, or tomorrow, or Friday. He'll be back on Monday. Amanda Kazi. Yeah, Nje.
Kazim
Tani. So he's left us with the proverbs from Zimbabwe, and he's told us to tell you that the president of Zimbabwe is called Emerson
Mnangagwa.
Namgangwa. Yeah. And there are two vice presidents. First vice president, Constantino Chimenga. I don't know whether this Constantino earns more money than the second vice president, Kembo Mohadi. This is how City has written it.
That's how City has written it. Now, we cannot confirm that is actually what it is. We're just telling you that that's how City has written it.
Yeah. Okay. Today's proverb. What you've found, eat with relatives, because strangers are forgetful. What you have found, eat it with relatives, because strangers are forgetful.
I agree.
You agree?
Yes.
Relatives don't forget. Those are the worst.
Kwanzaa, should I start? We don't have that kind of time this morning. My God. Where should I begin? Are you going to be my shoulder to lean on?
let's have a session.
It's necessary.
On Saturday.
Okay.
Sawa.
Just tell me where.
So we have a whole day.
Okay.
Sawa.
It's necessary.
Yes.
You might also need to bring libations.
And Muguka has not been banned in Nairobi.
In Nairobi.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sawa.
Because it's needed.
Let's look at the papers.
On the front page of the Standard, I don't know if the others are here. I guess we'll see them in a minute. Mount Kenya from Uhuru's frying pan to Ruto fire.
Hello?
Imagine. There's a fire. At the height of the political wars and 2022 election campaigns, DP William Ruto and allies accused then-President Uhuru Kenyatta of many ills. But now as head of state, Ruto is facing the very same accusations. There are things, man.
Like?
Handshake.
He has had a handshake?
Well, the things he faced.
Okay.
But now it would seem as though Ruto is shaking Raila's hand from front.
Kuna vile.
Coffee. Kenya Kwanza accused the Uhuru administration of running down the coffee sector due to what they claimed as family-related interests. Today, coffee farmers have no minimum guaranteed returns and debts are soaring, payments delayed, and Mira and Muguka farmers facing bans. Demolitions. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta was accused of insensitivity and acting inhumanely. You see now that problem with N. Let's come.
Inhumane.
During demolitions at Mukuru Jenga slums on the 27th of December 2021. Now the Ruto government is in the same spot over demolitions in Gikomba, Mathare and Mukuru. Also politics. The former president was accused of negating young Kumi ya Ruto Kumi. Oh, Yangu Kumi, Ruto Kumi. The mantra and working with Raila, thereby painting the Egikuyu as selfish and self-centered. There are hints that DP Rigathi Gachagua may not be an automatic running mate on the 2027 ballot.
Mambo yake kuna yake kumi. Aliambiwa hivyo.
Labda aliambiwa when the door was closed and you were not sure what was being said behind such closed doors.
Okay.
But now things are coming out in the open. What happens in the dark must come to light. High cost of living. Ruto and his allies accused Uhuru of triggering the high cost of living as a result of the Finance Bill 2018, which they claimed increased fuel prices. Kenyans are still complaining of high fuel prices, costs and introduction of hefty taxes. And finally, development. Uhuru was accused of neglecting Mount Kenya in favor of projects in the opposition stronghold. Today, some of the mega road projects started by the previous administration, such as the Mau Mau Road and the Kenol-Sagana dual carriageway, have stalled. So, the ghosts of the past are haunting the present president.
Even Uganda?
Nikama. To ban or not to ban? Why intoxicating Muga? Politics split leaders. It's likely to become a spot of bother for a lot of people this round. Widen tax net Treasury told as the finance bill faces resistance. It's already starting to drum up quite some noise. Accountants' bodies say failure to broaden the tax base has seen the Kenya Revenue Authority consistently miss revenue targets while overburdening a small group of taxpayers. The truth of the matter is that the minority are bearing the majority of the responsibility of tax payments in the country. HIV kits tender wars rock KEMSA. This is a big deal of what's going on. An MP accuses KEMSA and the Health Ministry of flawed award of a multi-billion tender for HIV kits, but they both come out fighting and say, what? It wasn't me.
Nothing like that. Haya, niko na screenshot za hizi magazeti zingine. Tuanze na wapi? And the Daily Nation. Gachagua is also here. Gachagua seeks new party amid falling out with Ruto. Deputy President Ricky G is in the process of acquiring a new political party as his split with President William Ruto escalates. The Nation has established that Gachagua is actively engaging officials of the New Democrats. It's called TND. As he scouts for an option away from Ruto's UDA. Tuhamwe. Okay. Kinaendelea kuumana. Sema kimeumana. From the courts, how caretaker failed in a bid to take over German employer's property. Appellate judge orders eviction of a man who had attempted to shortchange his employer by claiming ownership of the multi-million shilling property in Malindi. A guy is a caretaker. In a home. Takes it over. Says it's my home.
Where's the fella?
Fella? So the fella is just following.
He's
I don't
in
know.
Germany.
Yeah. Comes back and realizes Kimeumana. We'll look for this story.
That's true.
Treasury proposes budget cuts for State House and the presidency. Kwenda. Funds slashed from the office of the president, the office of the deputy president, the prime cabinet secretary, and State House will instead be reallocated to coffee reforms, tree planting program, enhancement of the budget for foreign missions and state visits. Sielewi. Chanayo. The main headline in the Daily Nation today: Inside Haiti Police Mission Command. They say the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Noor Gabo, is being considered to head the Kenyan peacekeeping mission to Haiti. The nation has established that he will be assisted by a commander picked from either of three elite units: the Rapid Deployment Unit, RDU, the Anti-Stock Theft Unit, ASTU, or the General Service Unit, GSU, who will also lead the Kenyan boots on the ground in the war-torn Caribbean nation. Remember, all those three units, okay, apart from GSU, the Anti-Stock Theft and the RDU are AP units. Noor Gabo is AP man, through and through, okay? So he says only officers aged below 40 years will be among the 1,000 to be deployed. Noor Gabo is, of course, not below 40 years. But you see, him is the boss.
Yeah.
Okay. That Business Daily has something quite interesting. Doctors are hitting patients with cash bills on eTIMS row. Doctors are forcing patients to pay medical bills in cash on continued snub of the KRA electronic invoicing portal, exposing millions of insured customers out-of-pocket spending despite 5.5 billion monthly spending on health covers. Medical insurers who spoke to the Business Daily said some doctors are asking patients to pay in cash and then seek reimbursements from their insurers. Patients are, however, incurring losses given the law that requires all individuals and entities involved in business to electronically generate and transmit invoices through the eTIMS. So doctors, this story of doctors do not want to be seen
on the thing. Yeah.
And they're coming up with all these reasons that, we are exposing patients' confidentiality to KRA.
It's not the patients, it's the doctors.
We are, now the receipt now has to indicate there that I have treated you for, remember what Dr. Kekondo was telling us? I've treated you for, now assume, Eric, you've come with gonorrhea. And I am treating you, Eric, with gonorrhea.
Do you want everybody to know that you have gonorrhea?
Gonorrhea. KRA to know that you have gonorrhea.
You see, we are protecting you.
That is what the doctors are claiming.
Rob?
The guy from KRA will come here, we'll ask him, what does that invoice
actually say?
Yeah, what should it not contain? What can it and can it not contain? Must it contain the precise prescription? If I've gone to a pharmacy and I've bought medicine, right? And the pharmacy is invoicing me.
Does it have to
Must
show the
they
medication?
actually indicate that I have given you 100 mg of blah, 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 to be taken 2 times with water, and then 50 mg of to be applied on the affected area?
Say, wow. Wow, all right.
Should it?
You're off your rocker, I swear.
We'll ask the KRA guy. But anyway, that is what the Business Daily is reporting today, that even insurance guys are now complaining because they're saying doctors are telling our customers, you pay and go and deal with insurance. Me, I'm not doing eTIMS. The other headline, how CDN Bank was forced to pay 444 million shillings in botched sale. Botched sale. In June of 2022, CDN Bank, through its majority owner Centum Investments Company PLC, welcomed a new suitor in Nigeria-based Pan-African lender Access Bank. The transaction, which would have seen CDN get a new owner and potentially fresh funding to anchor its growth, triggered a costly 444 million shillings divorce that pushed the lender into losses. Under an early agreement, CDN had committed to offer its long-term financial investment fund for developing countries, IFU, the first right to buy shares of the bank on sale or get paid the millions. But Access was not keen to partner with IFU, forcing CDN to pay the financier 444 million shillings, despite the collapse of the deal between Centum and Access weeks later. So basically, There was a lender called IFU, and CDN had signed with IFU and said, if you ever want to sell, you shall first come to us and ask us to buy. If you don't come to us and you have somebody who's winning, then you give us money. See, the owner called Centum goes and gets this Nigerian guy called Access Bank. Access comes and says, money, we got money. What's your problem?
How much
money? We're going to pay you.
What is money?
Yeah. So Centum quickly goes and gives IFU 444 million shillings. Where I have I'm dealing with Nigerian brother. 3 weeks later, Nigerian brother boards plane, goes now Lagos. Don't buy.
I not do again.
I know. So now, yes, Indian is already paid this guy 444 million. Nigerian brother has done what Nigerian brother has done.
You're not serious. Get out, Joe.
Nigerian brother has gone home. 444 million shillings.
Later.
Imeenda. Higher. There's another headline in the People Daily Budget. The varsity students now left on their own. They're claiming in this story, or they're reporting, that thousands of learners who sat KCSE exams last year may not join institutions of higher learning after the government drastically slashed funding for tuition and upkeep. All right? This is also a ticker headline in The Nation today that they're talking about how varsity funding in crisis as the Treasury cuts HELB budget for new students. Oh, that's the Star. Bang in the middle of the paper in the Star, inside lucrative parks that Ruto team is giving Uhuru. Documents show that the ex-president has 8 high-end GK cars, 33 employees on state pay. But Ednah has rubbished those claims, saying the state is out to financially cripple the Kenyatta office. Ednah saying, kuna,
they're not giving us.
Kuna.
In fact, the opposite is true.
Yeah. Aya, quick one before you tell us about traffic. Taifa Leo. Mzungu ahepa mwosho moja wa caretaker. Mzungu, you understand.
Yeah.
Hepa, you understand. Caretaker, you understand.
Yes, please.
Mwosho, you understand. Kwa mwosho moja tu. You've seen that ad.
I have. Something to do with?
Kuosha.
The washing, yeah.
Koti yapiga breki jaribio la msimamizi wa nyumba kunyakua makazi ya raia wa Ujerumani aliyemdai kuwa marufuku Kenya. Mtunzaji nyumba aliyejaribu kumnyang'anya bosi wake umiliki wa nyumba yake amepata pigo baada ya mahakama kukataa kuzuia kufurushwa kwake kutoka kwa nyumba hiyo mjini Malindi. So this guy was claiming that this chap is a foreigner. Why is he even in this country? How can he own property and you know? Even
but were you not working in his house?
No, this is my house. What do you mean this is his house?
He hired me, but it's now my house.
No, I've never worked for him. It's my house. Nini? I caught a bwana. Surely.
Unakuja pole pole.
Haibwangi hivyo.
Acha tukuonyeshe vile unafaa kuiba.
Bwana hata. Surely. Tell us about traffic. So.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to...
Starting to build up here and there. Manyanja Road, Donholm, coming then through towards Jogoo Road, some traffic well ahead on Kangunda Road, and all of this coming in from Jiro out towards Outer Ring. Traffic is starting to build, and it's already packed up on the Thika Superhighway, coming in from Utali out towards Muranga Road. Traffic is heavy, and bumper to bumper through the city. It's also busy on Gong Road, but not crazy. It's also busy coming out of Wayaki Way on the James Gishoro Drift. There's inbound traffic just over that bridge, but apart from that, really nothing happening around. We'll probably see a pickup of traffic as we get closer to the hour. In the meantime, just in case anything does pop off, talk to us on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So, let me tell you about this. First of all, JSS teachers are struggling on... I start again.
Start.
JSS learners are struggling on their own as TSC and intern standoff continues. But we heard yesterday that Parliament did the thing and they told Treasury, excuse me, release money so that we can, TSC, hire these people so we don't have this drama. Well, it would appear as though the drama is yet to end. Some junior secondary school learners have been forced to teach themselves. Okay, I have a problem. I can't. Can I read another story?
That's what the story is saying.
Yeah.
Just read. Let's hear.
Are being forced to teach themselves as the ongoing intern strike continues to bite. While some students remain at home, others have turned to anyone willing to help. A teacher who sought anonymity said students have been receiving private tuition from their former teachers at the lower grades. The teachers have been working on ways to keep the students in class and enable them to learn on their own. Others have also been studying independently to keep up with the syllabus and prepare for national assessment at the end of the year. Remember now, this is what we are looking at, that we have one big test at the end of the year. Some of the students have been seeking help from us, even at home, as we sit outside the schools during the strike period. So the interns are sitting outside the schools, and as they strike Kidogo, they go teach Kidogo, then they come back and strike. In Nyanza and Rift Valley regions, most students have opted to stay home because what are we doing? We're coming to school, nothing's happening, go back home.
Jesus.
I know. Maurice Ochieng, a student at Joel Omino, said he's yet to report back to school. Remember, school started after the 2-week, postponement on the 13th of May. We're now at the end of the month. I have been assisting my mother to sell arrowroot because of the strike. I normally revise with my fellow learners at the weekend. In Nyandarua, Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, KUPPET Executive Secretary Julius Masharia said they have advised the teachers not to work until they're employed permanently. So even as we're telling them, apana, ukipata barua, unaweza enda kazi. Lakini for now, don't do it. Kaa home. This was our agreement with the government, but they have not honored it, he said, noting that over 3,000 learners had been affected. What will happen to them, since they will still sit in the same examinations as the rest of the school? It is a sorry situation. Mary Rotich and Paul Kimeto, KUPPET executives in Kericho and Bomet, warned that learning would remain paralyzed until TSC assures them that it would hire at least 26,000 JSS teachers. We want the assurance, since there is an allocation of funds for the hiring by the National Assembly's Education Committee. Remember that story read yesterday? They said, Pesa iko hapa. TSC, activate. Now they're saying until that activation happens.
Until barua ikifika kwa mfuko.
Hatuendi. We want to be confirmed and compensated, is what one sign says of those teachers outside Naivasha in Nakuru County. The union officials demanded that TSC withdraws show cause letters. Remember, some of them were told, you've not been coming to work. Show cause.
Why
they said, show what? Cause. You will show yourself. They gave the teachers 14 days to respond. They accused the TSC of harassing teachers who've been dedicated nearly 2 years while earning a salary of 17,000 shillings. The officials maintained that the demonstrations were legal, noting that they had followed all required procedures. This action is barbaric, illogical, irrational, and inhumane. Doctors were on strike for 41 days, yet no action was taken against them. Instead, the government negotiated with the doctors and chartered a return to work formula. Why are JSS intern teachers being treated differently? It will not happen. It will never be us. We have decided to comply with the police orders. We will write a letter and hold. Now, you think this demonstration we've been doing has been a problem? Now we'll go to police, we'll get a letter, and we will have a mega demonstration. You guys will not believe it. You are joking with us.
They usually call them the mother.
The mother demonstration. So, you don't play with us. Meanwhile, some of the striking teachers have turned to menial jobs to earn a living. Meanwhile, wanafanya
kazi ndogo moja na pale.
We know that Parliament has said you people take this money. We know. And you guys are still playing with us. Don't. Just stop it. No.
But it will come. It will come.
What will come? They'll be hired.
See them, the letters will come. Sasa barua lazima iende iandikwe, uingizwe kwa system, niyo mambo yote. So just wait. Be patient.
Okay.
Mambo ya Muguka inaendelea. Okay? Muguka farmers and traders in Meru have gotten a temporary relief after the Embu High Court issued conservatory orders lifting the ban on its trade in the coastal counties. Justice Lucy Jogona on Tuesday ordered stoppage on the enforcement and implementation of the Executive Order Number 1 by the Governor of Mombasa, pending hearing of the motion filed by the Muguka farmers and traders. The case was filed by Kuderema Muguka Sacco Society Limited and the Embu County Assembly against the Mombasa and Kilifi counties. The farmers and traders are now free to transport, enter and sell Muguka in the coast counties without interference, pending the hearing of the case. Judge amesema, judge ako wapi? Ako Embu. Wanaingilia Mombasa wapi? Huko chini. How many kilometers from Embu?
450 hivi.
Yeah, no, there's a court order that says, mwacha tupeleke Muguka.
For now, bado tunaendelea.
Mwacha tupeleke Muguka. And then they find those guys there who are saying haingi hapa. Meanwhile, in Kwale, Governor Fatuma Achani yesterday said that she will not prohibit the sale and consumption of Muguka. She broke ranks with her peers at the coast who have banned the stimulant. She said, however, that her administration will instead raise the cess on Muguka from 10,000 shillings to 100,000 shillings. We aim at regulating the Muguka trade through the Finance Bill 24-25. We do not advocate for a total ban. The decision by the governors to ban the stimulant has sparked a debate about the crop. Yesterday, Governor of Kilifi, Mungaro, said the county's enforcement officers confiscated 10 bags of Muguka following a crackdown in Malindi, Adu, Mtwapa, Mariakani, Gongoni and Kilifi North. I thank the locals who continue to support the ongoing crackdown on the sale of Muguka. Together, we will defeat this monster. The governor of Kwale, amesema nini? Amesema na banning na. What we are going to do is let's increase the cess tenfold from 10,000 shillings to 100,000 shillings.
Okay.
Get more revenue, make it more. That means that you're making it more expensive. That means you're making it not easily accessible to children.
To children.
Are you seeing the
I can
effect
see the
of
logic.
that?
I can see the logic.
Let me tell you another story. Yesterday there was a story about this mediation between the National Assembly and the Senate on the division of revenue.
Yeah.
They agreed that, okay, sawa, okay, let's give the counties 400.1 billion shillings as shareable revenue. Sawa. Now, the COG chairperson, Anne Waiguru, has said devolution is meant to bring development closer to the people and ensure transformation of regions that have been marginalized for years. She has lauded the decision by the mediation committee on this new allocation. She thanked the committee, co-chaired by National Assembly Budget Committee Chairman Dende Nyoro and the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, Kadhuri Murungi, for reaching an agreement on this 400 billion shillings. We also thank members of the two houses for resolving this matter amicably. Okay? So money to counties has gone 400 billion shillings. Even the governors are happy. They're like, Nisawa, we will take the 400B. Heri nusu ya shari. Kuliko shari kamili.
That's good.
Meanwhile, as we talk about counties now looking and being very happy, there are two counties that are not very happy with one another. The county of Taita Taveta and the county of Kwale.
What happened?
There's a place along Mombasa Road called Makinon Road. You know that town?
No.
Have you? You fly to Mombasa. If you ever were to drive to Mombasa,
I have driven to Mombasa.
You'd come across a place, like a town called Makinon Road.
Okay.
Now this town lies on the border between Taita Taveta County and Kwale County. You know, as you're heading to Mombasa, you first get to here. This is Nairobi. Then there's Machakos. Then there's a bit of Kajiado here.
Yes.
Then you'll get to Makueni County.
Yes.
You go Makueni until you get to Emali. From Emali you enter Kajiado again. Kidogo until you get to Hunter's Lodge. You come back to Makueni. You continue with Makueni, Motetuandei, Makueni, Kibwezi, Makueni, until the Motetuandei. Tumalizana Makueni. Start Taita Taveta. Go, voy, yeah. Uko mbele, some place called Samburu, Makinon Road.
Apo.
Border. Enter Kwale. Kwale. Get to Mariakani. Enter Kilifi. Get to past Mazeras. Enter Mombasa. See? Now, Makinon, there's been a dispute about this town. It's like a trading spot. Both counties.
It's a border town.
Yes.
Okay.
And both counties are arguing about collection of revenue.
Who should collect?
In this county.
Iko happy, by the way. Does it straddle the two?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like this one of Kisii and Nyamira. What's that town again, Ednah? Keroka. Nice?
Or like Malaba?
Yeah.
Busia.
But this is Kenya and Tanzania.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now we're talking intercounty.
Intercounty.
Got it.
Okay. So the issue here has been on that issue. Now, residents and traders want the dispute resolved, saying it has continued to hamper development and it's causing confusion among them. According to the Mackinnon Road Traders Association chairman, Mohamed Chanunu, they were shocked when they were asked to pay taxes to Taita Taveta County while they get services like garbage collection and bursaries from Kwale County. Many of us have refused to pay taxes to Taita Taveta County because we get our services from Kwale County. Taxes must go with services. Mackinnon Road MCA Lennox Mosoko said residents have resisted paying taxes to Taita Taveta revenue officers because there is no transparency in running the joint revenue account between the two counties, as Kwale has no signatory. He noted that Taita and Taveta Water Company, Tavevo, owned by the Taita Taveta County government, collects about 6 million shillings in water bills in the disputed town, while cess charges stand at about 40 million shillings annually. Developers in this town have problems getting approvals for buildings because we don't know who's supposed to approve. Is it quality?
So they've just been in limbo.
So the town is just not developing. Who's giving approvals for new developments? All these things. There was an issue here, even when Salim Vuria was the governor and the grandson Samboja was the governor. They came to Nairobi for some mediation on how to resolve this matter. It was never followed up. The then Makueni senator, who is now the governor of Makueni, Mutula Kilonzo Jr., had come up with a proposal on county boundaries to find a lasting solution. This thing was never followed through. So the issue about this border towns between counties is huge.
It's a big thing. It is. But it would... Why not pay attention? Because it's a difficult conversation to have, but why not pay attention to it so it can be fixed quickly? There's a way in which I'm sure revenue can be shared or an agreement can be arrived upon whereby certain things Kwale handles and other things Taita Taveta handles. There must be. But the uncomfortable situation of sitting down and ironing it out is what prohibits this.
It's always the money issue.
Yes, now.
Because if we say that you're handling garbage, that means that you're collecting money for garbage. That means which is more money. If you're handling building approvals, that means that you're collecting the money for building approvals. You know, all those issues. So if you handle something, if you handle a function, then you make the levies from that function. So then this nyinyi mtabaki na pesa nyingi kutushinda sisi. Hatutaki. Tunataka pesa nyingi sisi kwetu. Haya, tell us now the stories.
Sasa, HIV testing kits, KEMSA, Ministry of Health, Sufuria,
boil.
What is it? Controversy has hit procurement of HIV/AIDS test kits with the accusations of malpractice in the award of the multi-billion shilling tender. A member of the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Health has come out to cast the first stone, claiming the procurement procedure was flawed. Kitutu Chache MP Anthony Kibagendi said the tender was not advertised by the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, that is KEMSA, and that the manufacturers were allegedly handpicked by the Health Ministry. So the Health Ministry said, I know a guy. You come. Meanwhile, there's a procedure for procurement that is supposed to be followed. Everybody knows. But Kibagendi is now saying,
they didn't follow
we know
that.
you guys. You didn't do like that. Now, the Ministry of Health has, however, refuted claims of irregularities in procurement of the said test kits, saying it used direct method and not through open tender. See, that's exactly what Kibagendi said. You've just used different words. The tender outlined in Circular RE reference MOH ADM 1112 dated August 22, 2023 is aimed at implementing a new HIV testing algorithm. Now, the algorithm mandated by the ministry requires 3 test algorithms for both general and antenatal populations. You get it? With a target foresight level implementation by January 2024, which was this year, overseen by the National AIDS and STI Control Program, NASCOP. Now, in the last 15 years, Kenya has been implementing a 2-test strategy in HIV testing. Now, following the World Health Organization recommendations, Kenya in 2022 started a process of adopting 3 testing algorithms, which means all persons that are tested in the country are subjected to a 3-step test for one to be certified as tested of the virus.
Okay.
If you do not do this particular one, then we cannot say that your results are what? Accurate.
Okay.
But Kibagendi claims certain potential suppliers were seemingly disqualified, while an overwhelming 80% of the supply was awarded to one of the companies, allegedly through the influence of top officials at the Ministry of Health and KEMSA. We urge the Principal Secretary of Medical Services, Harry Kimtai, to shed light on the procurement and awarding of the tender without due process being followed. He said, "We also call on the management of KEMSA, led by CEO Andrew Mulwa, to clarify on the process and whether they conducted due diligence on the said company." The PS yesterday dismissed the claims, saying the ministry used direct tendering method as opposed to the open tender one. Direct tender does not require advertisement and listing of qualified bidders. Now, the ministry, according to Kim Tai, formed a task force, of course, and developed testing criteria that developed standards to arrive at the testing kits. The procedure, he said, involved validation of ethical standards, and they did everything that they needed to do to get what they arrived at. Now, based on the recommendations by the task force during the pre-qualification stage, only 3 of the 8 companies which applied were selected, namely Trinity Biotech, SD Biosensor, and Guangzhou Wandful Biotech. After picking 3, Kim Tai said previous suppliers of the testing kits went to court challenging the process. Kibagendi is also accusing the Ministry of Health of failing to apply WHO standards while conducting suitability tests regarding the transition of HIV testing algorithms. World Health Organization says 3. Ministry of Health is allowing the companies who provide the ones with 2 to then be the suppliers of the testing kits. Kibagendi is saying
okay.
No.
But is that against the WHO? Is there a WHO that says that if you have been doing 2 tests as a company, because it's going to be the same suppliers of testing kits?
For sure. But what the World Health Organization is saying is that from the recommendations over testing time, that they've seen that the 3 tests is the one that will now, we can say, you have been tested for HIV.
And the Ministry of Health has now commenced that process of going into the 3 tests.
Yes.
And they have worked and they have formed a team that will look at how do we transition to the 3 tests. And in this transition period, they have identified companies and said, okay, so you companies, and this is based on that the recommendations of the team. Let's start with these guys to see how we can roll out the 3 tests algorithm, the 3-step algorithm. Kibagendi is saying that those were picked.
They were cherry picked. You didn't do the due diligence of having a tender, which is what is required.
There is more
according to procedure.
There is more to this. So we see this all the time, where procurement goes awry, and those who are left out for one reason or another want to muddy the waters. They will go to court. They will say this and the other. This is one of those. They will go to parliament. They'll have noise all over the place.
Mulwa said, Mulwa, who is the CEO of KEMSA, said, not my forest, not my monkeys. KEMSA is not involved in the process of this, that. Ours is to supply the thing when we finish. So, as far as we are concerned, the kit is WHO pre-qualified. Safety of kits is under preview of the ministry. The 2-test algorithm done previously, according to Kim Tai, provided accurate results, but some people doubted the results. It's the same World Health Organization who said the 2-test kit is working. We are going to continue with that until this task force gives us the third
until
one.
we move into the 3-test kit.
We are not doing wahala.
The issue of the test kits is a big one, because the next page shows has a story of 2 women. One woman had gone for routine antenatal visits in a Diani Health Center in 2016. Tests on her came out HIV positive. Test on her spouse, HIV negative. So they started immediately going into ARV treatment, her and her baby. There was a lot of course, tension in the home, because you and the baby are on HIV treatment. I'm not, as a spouse. And then they went back for tests, negative. More tests, negative. More tests, negative. Another story about Thika Level 5. This woman went for HIV tests. She was found to be positive. The husband was found to be negative. The following day, the husband left the home.
What?
Yep. You're the one who's HIV positive. I'm negative. What does that say? What does that tell us? He left. Went through all this. She went for more and more tests. She's done like 4 tests there since then. All of them negative.
And her husband is already gone.
Gone. So a big one. It's 7 a.m. Time for the news. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
It's now 7 a.m. Get effective relief from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Relief starts here.
This is the News Wire. I'm Leah Obaga. Police have recovered 4 guns at a home in Lodwa Village, Kabachi location in Meru County. In a statement, the National Police Service said they also recovered 22 rounds of ammunition and other crude weapons. The prime suspect, Ayub Kimathi, escaped from the police dragnet during the operation, where the manhunt launched to arrest him. This comes a day after police in Nairobi recovered a firearm loaded with 23 rounds abandoned near the gate of the Githurai police post. A power outage scheduled for today is set to impact 9 counties across Kenya. Kenya Power says the planned blackout is for maintenance purposes and will affect several areas at different times of the day. The power interruption will affect West Pokot, Kisumu, Migori, Nyamira, Nyeri, Laikipia, Kiambu, Kitui and Mombasa counties. 26,000 teachers who are hired in the first batch of the junior secondary school internship program will now be hired on permanent and pensionable terms beginning the 1st of July. The teachers who've been holding demos to push for the new terms were to be confirmed in January next year, according to an early announcement by their employer, the Teachers Service Commission. While submitting budget estimates for the 2024-2025 financial year, National Assembly Committee on Education chairperson Julius Meli announced that TSC will receive 8.3 billion shillings to employ the teachers. This event comes as teachers in Eldoret have continued to hold protests, saying they'll not return to school until they're hired on permanent and pensionable contracts.
Sisi tuko kwa mgomo, tuko kwa kitu inaitwa strike. We are demanding for confirmation and for compensation. We are following the court ruling yenye ilifanyika mwezi wa 4 tarehe 17.
The only thing we are urging the government to do is very simple. Confirm us the 46,000 interns because we are really suffering. That is the bottom line.
Tumeweza kusoma miaka hiyo yote kisha tunaanza kulipwa shilingi 17,000 ambayo hata mtu wa mjengo alipi.
The teachers also criticized their employer for threatening them with show cause letters.
Wametutumia show cause letters, wametufanyia threats zote, lakini kitu kenye tunawaambia ni a very simple thing. Haturudi kwa madarasa bila PNP. Tumekuwa na MPs ambao wanapeana mabarua kwa functions hadi watoto ambao wameandikwa 2023, walio graduate 2023 wako kwa kazi saa hizi. Sisi wengine as early as 2014, 2015 hatujapata kazi. Kwa hivyo hata wakitutishia, wakitupea hizo show cause letters, haturudi kwa madarasa.
And in the international scene, South Africans vote today in what may be the most consequential election in decades as dissatisfaction with the ruling ANC threatens to end its 30-year political dominance. Polls open at 7 o'clock this morning and close at 9 p.m. with 27 million registered voters called to elect a new parliament, which then chooses a president. For the first time since the advent of democracy in 1994, the African National Congress is at risk of losing its outright majority and could be forced to negotiate a coalition. Retired President Uhuru Kenyatta will lead the African Union Election Observation Mission in the elections. That's the News Wire. I'm Leah Ubaga.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on Spice FM.
When you're impeached, you're impeached. When you're sentenced, you're sentenced.
Madam Chief Justice.
Until the sentence is set aside.
Ukibeba vitu kwa roho utakufa. If you carry things in your heart, you will die.
The reason for which you went to school and then gathered experience, that reason must be paid for.
All right.
Oh, okay.
This level.
Shape up or ship out.
Levels don't change.
No.
It's about shipping up.
You know my business partner here.
Shipping out.
Are we talking about the ship in the bathtub? Or
the ship man.
Emmanuel Talabu used to tell us a story of they were in school and they've been told to write composition about a ship. His classmate raises a hand. Teacher, are you talking about a ship or a ship goat?
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
okay, it's Wednesday morning. What's happening on the roads? We had seen traffic earlier starting to build on the thicker superhighway. Has progressed quite some, getting past all stops at that stage now. Incoming from the Garden City Mall area, there's traffic is also built up there. On Limuru Road, quite busy. Looking in from Waiaki way as well, we're seeing some movement. Let's take a quick look at what's coming in from Spring Valley, Lower Kabete, and you'll be all right. James Gishiro then getting towards the Red Hill Link Road junction, just at the drift past Mzima Springs. In and outbound traffic continues there. It's also really busy as you're coming in towards Westland State House and then out towards Arboretum. That's also busy as well. Into the CBD is where we'll see the most of it this morning. We're going to keep an eye on things. Jogo Road also quite one to watch this morning. Let's talk on Spice FM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 after 7. How are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of Kenya's... Is it the third? The second. Oh. Aye, you know, it's Friday. When it's Friday, things are like this. It's 7 after 7. How are you doing? It's the 29th day of May 2024. We're live on SpiceFM, on KTN Home, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Radio Garden, on all the digital platforms, even on www.spicefm.co.ke. We live stream this show there as well every morning. So this coming Friday, this other one, watch out, this one of today, the one of the end of the month, will be the World No Tobacco Day. Okay? World No Tobacco Day. What does that mean?
So no tobacco.
No tobacco means what?
You don't want tobacco. No smoking it, no buying it, no growing it, Abi.
Eh? Okay, we'll hear about that. And that's why we have two guests in the studio. Anthony Mudemba is the head of the Tobacco Control Unit at Nairobi City County, and Rachel Kitonyo Devotsu, who's a Senior Tobacco Control Advisor, Development Gateway. Karibuni sana to Kenya's biggest conversation. Anthony, you're the one who hasn't been here before. Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. Rachel has been here a number of times. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks to be back again.
You're still fighting the fight?
Mpaka mwisho.
Hakuna kusita
Hapana.
wala kukoma.
Yeah.
Sawa. It's okay. You fight the fight. You'll tell us all about the World No Tobacco Day and the commemorations and what exactly it means. Before we do that, I'm sure, Anthony, at City County, you have very many suppliers of goods and services. And the City County government, we were told this by the CCM for Finance, is not going to pay anyone who does not invoice using a tax invoice. And that's where e-teams comes in. And so we've been telling people how to actually generate an invoice through eTIMS. You basically just go to your eCitizen platform, ecitizen.kra.go.ke, or you can use the USSD code *222#. Simple, straightforward, like that. If you use the USSD code, in fact, I tried the USSD one. It's so easy.
Is it?
*222#. Okay? Then it'll bring you a suite of services. This is the eCitizen USSD platform. Suite of services including GOK, flood relief, manenos. Option number 5 is KRA services. You press 5, Bonyeza 5.
Bonyeza.
You go into now the KRA suite of services. And then you will find another one there written, eTIMS invoice. And if you're not registered for eTIMS invoice, if you click it, then it helps you to register. All you need is to put your ID number or your PIN number. It gets into the eCitizen platform and says, okay, so here, your eTIMS registered. Now, if you want to generate an invoice because you want to send Kina Anthony an invoice, you just go in there and you get the details. What are the details that you need? Number 1, the PIN of the entity that you're invoicing. In this case, the Nairobi City County Government. Put PIN there. It brings you, is it the Nairobi City County Government? You say yes.
Yes.
Okay, now put the details. What did you supply?
Blankets.
Chlorine.
Okay.
For what? For what?
Remember, we'll tell you they don't buy chlorine.
Chlorine for water or paper or whatever for printing. Any of those things. Okay, so put the details. Quantity, put the quantity. Amount per quantity.
Date supply.
Date supply is not even important.
Okay.
Yes.
It's the quantity and the amount.
And the amount.
Thank you.
Put that. And then you say
PIN number.
PIN ndio ulianza nayo. So that's it. The next thing now it tells you you want to email this invoice to Kina Patrick, Kina Anthony, or you want to download it. You download it, you print it, and then you go to their office. You know these guys, they want bring it in hard copy and soft copy. Stamp received.
3 copies.
Stamp received. So we know that you actually did. Yeah. So simple like that. From the comfort of your mobile device. *222#. Haya. Karibuni sana to Kenya's biggest company.
Asante.
See, what I've said is true.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure,
If I
true.
supply whatever, pens, water, garbage bins. You see, they put garbage bins everywhere in this city. I'm sure you've seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen them, it's because the supplier hasn't supplied.
Okay. And actually, it's not just about for the suppliers. Also for business permits. It has been really simplified. You just do the registration via your mobile phone, do the payment via mobile phone, and you're good to go. All the licenses, at least the 6 basic licenses, have been amalgamated into one.
Single business permit. Hii ndio mlituambia
sasa inaitwa UBP,
Unified Business Permit.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. To welcome you to the conversation would have been CT with the day's proverb. This week the proverbs have been from the Republic of Zimbabwe. Rachel, who is the president of Zimbabwe?
Mnangagwa.
See, she put the N in the right place. Say again.
President Mnangagwa.
If we had asked Anthony, angeumia kidogo.
Oh,
Emerson Mnangagwa is the president of this country. So the proverb for today is, what you have found, eat with relatives, because strangers are forgetful. What you found, eat with relatives, because strangers are forgetful. Rachel, what's your interpretation of this?
Hiyo ni ngumu. You know, nowadays when we talk about black tax, hata na relatives hatutaki kukula. But if you're going to eat with anyone, it may as well be the relatives.
They're better.
Yeah.
Because
mnatoka mbali.
Yeah. What do you think the deeper meaning of this is?
I don't know whether it speaks to a sense of community. Yeah. And maybe remembering where you came from, old friends. You know, maybe the Kiswahili equivalent is usiache mbachao kwa mswala upitao.
You do get that?
Ukiwacha, niliwachwa hapo.
Uliachwa kwa mbachao. Anthony, what's your interpretation of this?
I would think that it simply means that you stick with family, because I've been cultured to believe that family will never leave you in good and in bad times. So when you have it, eat with the relatives and family, because other people will definitely leave you at some point.
Okay, that's a good one. So we'll be celebrating the World No Tobacco Day on Friday. Before we do that, let's understand the tobacco control unit in the county. What's that? What do you control?
Yeah, so Nairobi City County happens to be the only county within the Republic of Kenya that has a tobacco control unit. This is a unit that is tasked exclusively to handle tobacco control issues. And when you're talking about tobacco control, we're simply talking about the strategies that are employed to control supply and demand of tobacco products and other related products. So tobacco control unit of Nairobi County was started way back in 2010. I happen to be the person who started the unit from scratch. It has grown to be an independent unit within the Directorate of Environmental Health. So what happens is that we work in liaison with the Ministry of Health in terms of tobacco control issues. And our core mandate are two. One is sensitization of the general public in regards to the dangers of tobacco use, that is health effects, environmental effects, and socioeconomic effects. And we're also tasked with the enforcement of the tobacco control laws in Kenya. As you know, Kenya has most of the progressive tobacco control laws in this region, and is also respected under the WHO countries that are member parties of the FCTC. So the core mandate is sensitization and enforcement.
Okay. You'll tell us more about this as we continue the conversation. So on Friday, the world marks the No Tobacco Day, and like Ndu had asked, so what does that mean? Does that mean no growing of tobacco on the day, no harvesting of tobacco, no sale of tobacco products? What does No Tobacco Day mean, Rachel?
So the day started first to create awareness, as Mudemba said, about the dangers of tobacco use. And because the goal is we would want to go down to 0% prevalence eventually, that's where the no smoking comes in. So we would want smokers to quit smoking. We would want non-smokers not to start. And then especially we would also want to protect non-smokers from secondhand smoke. So the No Tobacco Day is when the whole world gets together to get this message across. Normally there is a theme for each year, and it depends on what is happening globally. So the theme for this year is protecting children from industry interference. And this has come up because as smoking prevalence globally is dropping, the tobacco industry has to recruit new customers. So this is a product that kills 50% of its users, and therefore there's need for replacement users. And the replacement is our children and our young people. And so these young people need to be protected, especially from industry marketing tactics, from new products, because we now have a new generation that are called novel products. So we have got things like e-cigarettes and vapes. And so the focus of this year's World No Tobacco Day is how can we protect children and young people from being attracted into a lifelong addiction. Yeah.
But then you say no tobacco, not no smoking. Why are we not having a conversation about stopping the production or the growing of tobacco?
So last year we were here again, and last year's theme centered around the growing, and the theme was actually we don't want tobacco, we want food. And so there are already efforts, particularly in Kenya. Kenya won a World No Tobacco Day award last year for our alternative cropping project. So we are trying to get farmers off growing. We are having very good success in Kenya. We currently have 3,000 farmers who've been enrolled and have transitioned out. We have about another 25,000 farmers to go, but we are doing well. So part of the No Tobacco is to gradually phase out growing. The other bit is then to get smokers to stop smoking, and eventually then to basically reduce prevalence down to zero.
We talk about the prevalence of tobacco use around the world dropping. What do those numbers look like in Kenya right now?
So based on the latest survey that we have, which was done in 2022, so we've got two. We've got the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, 2022, and then we've got the Tobacco and Alcohol, Drug, Substance Abuse Survey, TADSAS, also 2022. So overall, national prevalence is hovering between 9 and 10%. This is adults, aged 15 to 65. And we obviously have got more men smoking than women. So male smoking is between 14 and 16%. Female smoking ranges between 0 to 4%, depending on the survey. At the young people level, we have about 3.4% of young people aged 15 to 24 who are currently tobacco users. Well, let me call them tobacco product users because there's a wide range of products. And then we have 7.3% who've ever tried a product. So even though the percentages are dropping, I think the scary thing is because population is also growing. So that percentage is a percentage of the overall population. So in terms of the absolute number of smokers, we have dropped from 2.5 million smokers to 2.3 million smokers. So the percentage drop looks really big, from male smoking of 23% to 14%. But in terms of absolute numbers, we still have 2.3 million people who are using tobacco products. And what that translates into in terms of health, and so when you look at what tobacco-related illness costs the economy, and when I talk about tobacco-related illness, you're talking about cancers, you're talking about cardiovascular disease, you're talking about chronic respiratory illnesses like COPD, bronchitis, pneumonia, you're talking about diabetes, you're talking about tuberculosis. All of this currently in 2022 costs the Kenyan economy between 544 and 768 million US dollars. So this is composed of treatment costs directly to hospitals, and then absenteeism, productivity losses, early mortality. So that is really the problem, and that's why when we are saying World No Tobacco Day, and not just the day which is on Friday, but generally the whole year round, what Mudhemba and others in government are constantly trying to do is then to bring these numbers down.
So what do some of those efforts look like from the county perspective, or even then looking at a national perspective? What do some of those efforts look like when it comes to reducing the use of tobacco?
Yeah, from the county's perspective is one, protecting the population from second-hand smoke. That is ensuring that smoking is regulated in public spaces. Also in terms of enforcing, trying to ensure that accessibility to these tobacco products is controlled. That is ensuring that tobacco products are not accessed by minors. Also in terms of ensuring that the tobacco products that are being sold out there adhere with the provisions of the graphical health warning, so that any person who would use that kind of product, they are able to be informed about the health dangers of this kind of products. In regards to this, we are cognizant of the accelerated uptake of other tobacco products, because we're no longer talking just about the conventional cigarette. We are talking about consumption of tobacco products in general. There's the uptake of the what we call the novel tobacco products, and we are really emphasizing on this in terms of enforcement, just to ensure that when our officers go to the points of sales, they are able to get these products out of the market. So in general, is control of the supply and demand, and the sensitization in terms of the dangers, because we are cognizant that when the public is aware about the dangers, then it means that the uptake will be controlled.
Okay, so in terms of that enforcement, we have seen several raids by Kanjo, and they're raiding shisha dens. Is this part of that, what you call enforcement?
Yes. Actually,
so why shisha?
So shisha, the raids that have been happening about on shisha, actually this goes way back from 2018. You remember the ban was imposed on shisha in 2017, on 20th of December 2017, and since then Nairobi County actually has been in the forefront of enforcing the shisha ban. And of course, now the government has brought in other stakeholders, that is NACADA and the national government agencies in doing this. So the enforcement of shisha seems to have been more accelerated because of the issues that come up with the shisha consumption. We realized that way back, and the rationale that was used to ban shisha was actually the products that were being consumed at the point of consumption. They were taken to lab analysis, and it was found that shisha had narcotics. So it was rather a way of using narcotics in public.
Right.
Yeah. So and this does not just our enforcement does not just target shisha. It targets also other tobacco products that are not compliant with the stipulated packaging and labeling provisions.
What are those other products?
So the products are we have mostly imported products. That is products like chewable tobacco, commonly known as Kuber. Kuber is a brand name, but people associate Kuber with the chewable tobacco. Mostly these products are not compliant in terms of packaging and labeling. We have products like vape and other types of e-cigarettes which are not compliant with the provisions. So we are doing a crackdown on this, and it's an exercise that has been there over some time and it's still going on. So as Nairobi County, we are really working on this, and we're also trying to also liaise with other counties within the Republic to try and do the same, because it beats the logic to have enforcement within Nairobi and the same kind of vices happening in other counties.
In the neighboring counties.
Yeah.
Is vape a tobacco product?
Yes, vape is a tobacco product. It's a tobacco product because the nicotine that is used in the e-liquid or the vape liquid is extracted from a tobacco leaf. And I mean, from the lab analysis that we've conducted from products in the field, we have found out that the nicotine is from it's organic nicotine derived from the tobacco leaf. So it passes for a tobacco product, because under the Tobacco Control Act, it defines a tobacco product as any product that is from tobacco or any derivative of tobacco leaf. Yes.
So what regulation has a vape flouted?
So vape basically flouts the regulation of Section 21 of the Tobacco Control Act and Part 2 of the Tobacco Control Regulations, that is between Section 3 and 7, in terms of packaging and labeling. Because vape products, as any other tobacco product, they're supposed to have the graphical health warnings and all other relevant information like country of origin and disclosure of the constituents. So in most cases, the vape products that we have in this country that are coming into this country flout the Section 21 provision of the Act.
So it's because they do not have those warnings, the graphic warnings.
Yes.
They don't say the country of origin, and that's why you go there and say vapes should be off the market.
Yes.
Okay. Then there are other cigarette pouches, and you know them. They those pouches, not cigarette pouches, but tobacco pouches that are found in the market. You walk into a supermarket, into a pharmacy, and you'll find them. These brands. You don't rate them. Why don't you?
So that is also happening. We do rate them. These are the nicotine pouches under that category of we call them modern oral tobacco products. Under that category, we have the nicotine pouches and snus. So these products also should have the graphical health warnings. So the ones that we've been reading are the ones that do not have graphical health warnings. And recently, as you all know, the Ministry of Health has removed a leading brand in the market which does not meet the provisions of the tobacco control regulations in regards to the provision of the graphical health warnings. So even these ones, we are still cracking down on them, but it becomes a challenge because some of these products get into the country through hand luggages. It's not like the government has an official inventory of the importers of these products, but even the ones who are registered to import these products, the government has cracked a whip on them.
Okay. So if all these things had the graphic warnings, and they had, labeling that indicates who the manufacturer is, their country of origin, all this, the date of manufacture, they'd be okay to be sold?
They would be okay to be sold. However, how the tobacco products are supposed to be displayed at the point of sale is also controlled, because these products should not be displayed in a manner to create a promotion or a curiosity among the people who are not users. So there's also another element of how they should be displayed. I mean, they should not, we term it as a promotion when you display these products. So they should be concealed, or rather sold in controlled areas. Like let's say if you walk into let's say a supermarket, you have a liquor area, they should be displayed there.
I see.
If I could add one thing, the other breach is happening of marketing. I mean, so we have a ban on tobacco advertising, promotion and sponsorship, and particularly in the online space, we are seeing a lot of advertising. So part of the reason why cigarette prevalence is going down is that you can no longer see billboards, you can no longer see the obvious advertising. Yet for these new products, they are now taking advantage of digital spaces. So we are seeing a lot of advertising on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and obviously the target is young people, the use of influencers. So the Tobacco Control Act bans all of that kind of behavior, but obviously the internet space is more complicated to enforce, and sometimes you're even looking at cross-border advertising. So for example, when you get Kenyan influencers who go to Formula One in Abu Dhabi and are posing next to the car, so obviously looking very sexy, and they are holding a vape in their hands. Now that TikTok short video is made and is beamed out over TikTok, and then Kenyan youth are seeing it. So it's not just the packaging and labeling the graphic health warnings, it's what are the constituents. And so some of when they fail to declare what is inside, because even a bottle of water tells you what is inside, potassium, magnesium, whatever, and in what quantities. These products, the user is not knowing what they are getting. So if you look, for example, at Velo, it just says 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots. What's the consumer meant to interpret about those dots, about the amount of nicotine that they are getting, and the health impact of that. And then the final place is taxes. And so if you look at the tax regime for these products, the products are selling much lower than even the tax rate, which means that a lot of tax evasion is also happening. So there's a whole range of laws that are being flouted. So KRA, for example, with regard to e-cigarettes and to nicotine pouches, because e-cigarettes is both the liquid plus the gadget. So if an importer declares the gadget as electronics, because it's an electrical product, then when it passes in through the border, the KRA officer doesn't levy it the charge of an e-cigarette, it gets levied the charge of an electronic. Right. And so there's a lot that's being snuck in through that. And so the amount of tax that they're supposed to be paying is actually being evaded.
Let's take a break. We'll continue this conversation shortly. 28 minutes to 8. We are talking about World No Tobacco Day, which will be commemorated globally this Friday, the 31st of May. Rachel Kitonyo Devotsu is a Senior Tobacco Control Advisor from Development Gateway. She's our guest alongside Anthony Mudhemba, the head of the Tobacco Control Unit at the Nairobi City County Government. Let's get to understand what these controls on tobacco use are, and whether Kenya is actually winning this battle.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Kenya Revenue Authority KRA reminds all business owners, including those who are not registered for VAT, to electronically generate and transmit their invoices to KRA via eTIMS. Did you know you can now register and generate eTIMS invoices by dialing *222#? Visit www.kra.go.ke to register and learn more about eTIMS and start invoicing your transactions today. The general public is also encouraged to request for an electronically generated receipt with every purchase. Vuka eTIMS leo. Kenya Revenue Authority. Tulipe ushuru, Tujitegemee.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 15. It's sunny at 14 in Nakuru, going to highs of 25 and lows of 13. And we'll see lows of 13 in a mostly sunny Nyeri at 16, going to highs of 25. It's sunny at 14 in Eldoret, highs of 24. And at 24, Mombasa is sunny for most parts of today, going to highs of 30. We'll see highs of 30 as well. In a partly sunny Malindi at 26. 21 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 28, while Kakamega is sunny at 18. It'll go to highs of 29. Kampala is sunny at 23 with highs of 28, while Dar es Salaam at 22. Sunny now with highs of 32. Looking into a clear Johannesburg at 8, highs of 21, and Mogadishu at 27 is sunny with highs of 31. It's 14 and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 28, while Lagos is clear at 27. Kinshasa is partly cloudy at 25.
Spice up your life.
Okay, so we're getting into traffic hour proper this morning, and let's see what's knocking. Coming off the Thika Superhighway, there's been quite some this morning as you get into the city, but all manageable, I guess. We're going towards the service lanes where you're going to have to stay, after the service lanes, you're going to have to stay on course with survey as you head through towards Muranga Road. It's also busy on Kiambu Road, and we're looking at this busyness continuing through the city. The Globe Cinema roundabout, very heavy traffic as you get towards the CBD, and then onto Huru Highway, which is busy from Westlands through towards Haile Selassie. So that continues there. The Eastern Bypass, some traffic. Also building up Juja Road, in and outbound traffic is absolutely crazy this morning. Langata Road, also some traffic there. Mombasa Road heading out towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout continues to build up. We're getting into traffic hour proper. Let's see what happens as it piles up. We'll talk on SpiceFM, KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Tobacco control and tobacco controlling the use, the sale, the advertising, the distribution, everything about tobacco. Rachel Kitonyo Devotsu is a senior tobacco control advisor. Anthony Mudemba, head of tobacco control unit at the Nairobi City County Government. Somebody is telling me, please tell your guests that the nicotine in vapes is not from tobacco. It is synthetic nicotine. True or false?
False. Analysis done in Singapore shows that the technology to produce synthetic nicotine is still not at market rates. So in terms of the quantity of vapes that are being produced and their capacity to mass produce it, because remember cigarettes are also a mass produced item, highly mechanized. So the capacity to produce in mass is not there. So most of the nicotine is still coming from tobacco leaf.
Okay. Looking at the crackdown, I think it's a question for both of you. I guess we can see how it goes. When we talk about crackdown, and now saying that we're trying to get to the point whereby we reduce the use and then at some point maybe eliminate it completely, do crackdowns work whereby people will stop for fear of being arrested or whatever? Or are we seeing that people are actually saying, let's stop using it as a result of the crackdown?
So actually what happens with the crackdowns, it has an impact over a short time, and that is why after doing a crackdown you need to retreat and continue with the routine inspections and enforcements, because what happens with the crackdowns, people will always be on alert that you know what, guys, something is happening. But however, what happens with the crackdown, it is an avenue that is normally used by the government to bring together all the agencies. I mean, just to have a multi-sectoral approach. So it happens over a targeted time, but again, to sustain the momentum, you have to retreat. So as you put it clearly, people sometimes will stop doing a certain kind of vice because of the ongoing crackdown. But of course, a lot has to keep on going, which is unannounced.
Maybe if I just add there, Tobacco control is a comprehensive suite of measures that work synergistically. So when you're looking at reducing usage of something, so the crackdown has the benefit of public awareness. So when it gets media attention, then people get information. But basically you're also looking at the other measures like raising the taxes. So the more expensive the product becomes, the less the demand goes down. You're looking at the advertising bans to get the product out of the public awareness. You're looking at the enforcement of the ban on smoking in public to reduce the number of places where they can use. So all of these measures work synergistically. And then, as he said, the crackdown, which you do, I guess, periodically, has that sudden sharp burst of public awareness and reduction. And the truth about reduction in smoking is that even if you reduce by a bit and you don't stop, there's some benefit. So the most benefit comes by stopping completely. But even if you reduce smoking intensity or you reduce number of products that you use, there's the health benefit that comes with that. So we would want them to stop completely, but even if they reduce because of the crackdown, there's still some health benefit.
What do you think it's going to take? A couple of weeks ago, we had a conversation about the packaging, for example, and what the graphics ought to look like on different packaging. But by the time that somebody is a frequent smoker, for example, the graphics on the package do nothing here or there. They're already into it.
They're hooked.
They're hooked, exactly. And then we also looked at, like, for folks who are buying 1, 2, 3, 6 of a cigarette, as an example, they're not dealing with the package. They're getting it from the storefront, whatever, and the person left with the package is the person selling it, right? So they don't see it anyway. So what do you think it is going to take? Because a lot of these changes will start in the mind. What will it take to really significantly reduce and come to the point whereby we are eliminating the use of tobacco? And I guess best practice from around the world as well.
Yeah, so what happens, as you've just put it, over time, the graphical health warnings that are on the packages, somehow they become monotonous and also to the users. And that is why these graphical health warnings are prescribed to be on a rotational basis. And at the moment, the government is working on a new set of the graphical health warnings, and not just a new set, also in terms of the size and prominency. So that, I mean, when you look at this product, the first thing that you see are the health effects. Then, and actually, research has shown that the graphical health warnings have helped people to cease the use of this kind of product. So the constant change of these graphical health warnings is working. And also, like in other jurisdictions, what is happening is that it is not just about the size, it's even like the complete pack. So in Kenya at the moment we are at 30-50, but in the proposed graphical health warnings, this is shifting to 80-80. Yeah. 80% on the principal surfaces. That is on the front surface and on the rear surface, 80-80.
So Anthony,
yes,
there's the other conversation about the safe alternatives. Right, there are those who are campaigning and saying, so there are people who are actually hooked onto smoking, and they're being weaned out of the addiction to tobacco products. So they're still being given tobacco products, and then they're being taken out of tobacco products. So you're used to this habit of just having something, in your hand, smoking it or inhaling or something, and so they're moving into those vapes in different quantities, in different the concentrations, up to a point where maybe if you just have a cigarette, or just like having a pen on your hand and you're pretending to be smoking, but it's actually zero harm, right? And those campaigners are saying that the people who are on this journey ought to be considered, that they're actually on this journey of getting off. And the safer alternative products that are in the market, the problem is that they are not controlled. We should deal with controlling the access to them, and not necessarily putting these graphical health warnings as prominently on all products. What do you say to that?
What I'd like to say is that I think that is an analogy used by the tobacco industry, which is deceptive, because I mean, we're not. Why should we be talking about harm reduction rather than talking about harm elimination? Because to me, it doesn't make sense that I will produce a product X, then produce another product Y that helps me to stop using that product X. Why not stop producing that product X? So these are just a narrative that is being given, because what we call NRTs, nicotine replacement therapy, is a pharma grade kind of nicotine. Okay, and what happens is that it is administered from a certain level. You go down to a certain level, then you go down to still another level until you get wind of. But what the industry and the propagators of harm reduction are saying is that probably, let's say you are smoking and you start using the nicotine pouches. What it means is that you are starting from a certain level, going up to another level, because when you look at these nicotine pouches, they are dotted. Okay, they have dots in terms of strength. So there is a certain threshold. When you get used to that threshold, you go to another dot, another threshold. So it is actually a reverse way, and research has shown that most of these people end up becoming dual users of these products. So you're trying to stop smoking, then you start using these other alternative products. At the end of the day, you consume all of them at the same time.
You're saying they don't work? The harm reduction strategy cannot work?
The thing to add is, because if you look at Velo, it's flavored. And when you're looking at some of the flavors, actually the tobacco industry has up to 15,000 flavors. So you've got flavors like cupcake and candy floss. Who's the target of that? That's not your father who's 55 and needs to stop smoking. He doesn't take cupcakes and berry.
He's a sweet tooth.
Yeah, so that's targeted at children. And we just looked at the prevalence statistics and said that the majority of tobacco users in Kenya are older. So we said adult men, 9%, young people, 3.4%. So who is Berry Blast targeting? It's not your father. It's targeting my child who thinks this is a sweet, to get them hooked onto nicotine. So this is actually not harm reduction. If we remove the flavors, because that's one of the things we're asking the government to do, would it then still appeal to children? And then just lastly, if you're told ukiingia maji of 100 degrees centigrade, utachomeka. Ukiingia ya 60 degrees centigrade, utachomeka kidogo, lakini si hivyo mbaya. As a mother, would you put your baby in water of 60 degrees centigrade? Because hatachomeka ile mbaya kama 100 degrees centigrade. The goal is kutochomeka. So it's not about being safer, it's about being safe. And so as a mother, I've got 3 children. I don't want my child hooked on to nicotine because it's a safer way of getting nicotine than getting it through a cigarette.
Right, you're conflating,
I don't want my children.
The issues.
No, but are we not
There's an issue of
already addicted?
Yeah, ensuring that your child does not start smoking, and that's why the tobacco control laws come in, to make sure that you control how this child will not get access to tobacco products.
Yes.
And then there's this 55-year-old mzee who has been smoking since they were 20.
Yes.
They're hooked onto this thing and they're trying to stop. They've tried different ways of stopping, they've been unable to. And now this harm reduction alternatives come in and they are taking them out of this. It's
because
a therapy.
It's nicotine replacement therapy.
It's a therapy. So you're going through this therapy under the guide of a health professional.
You just told me that you can buy this thing in the supermarket. Is the supermarket cashier a health professional?
See, that's the thing now. How do we... There's the issue of control, these NRTs, and there is the issue of still supporting the NRTs for where they're supposed to be.
So actually, if I may delve in, there's a national guideline on tobacco cessation. And the national guideline states what is an NRT and who should dispense it and where. But some of these products that are being brought into the market and are labeled as safe alternatives or as quitting aids, they contravene all that, because these are products that are being sold in any tuck shop. They are sold outside school gates, actually targeting the children, as Rachel has put it. Because when you look at how these products are displayed, they're displayed at eye level of school-going children, where they place candies, the sugary drinks, and what have you. So these products, clearly, it shows that they are being brought into the market to groom a new generation, but not to help people to quit. Because if it was to help to quit, then it should be dispensed in such a way that you go and seek for the help, and you say, okay, I'm an addict of smoking, then it is dispensed to you. So it is in contrary to the guidelines of tobacco cessation.
I think that are there not several fights happening at the same time, because the medical doctors will tell us that for somebody who's addicted to nicotine,
yes,
that it is close to, if not impossible, to have them quit cold turkey, that it has to be gradual, right? So that's one thing that you're working with when we're talking about elimination. At the same time, we're also talking about the introduction of some of these NRTs, but they're not being sold as NRTs. They're not replacements for those who are already addicted. They're introducing another sector of the society into getting onto this into this practice. So they're not being introduced for these folks who are addicted. They're not. They're just being introduced as use for another section of the community. So they're two different. We can't, and unfortunately, the NRT use in the country today is unregulated. It's not regulated. There are medical practitioners who will tell you, well, how do we go through this whereby they're allowed in the. You can walk into a chemist today and buy a Velo. At any age, doesn't matter who you are.
But Velo is not an NRT.
I'm giving it as an example.
Yeah.
I can get online and purchase vape. I can. It's not being used as an NRT for those who are. It's not regulated as an NRT for those who are addicted to nicotine. So that's why I'm saying we're dealing with very many different levels of fighting for the elimination of this. Now, without regulation, it becomes almost impossible to even have that as a recommended therapy for those who are addicted when we're looking at a medical situation. So how do we play amongst all these many different cycles that are turning at the same time? How do we do that? We cannot have one blanket hammer solution to everything, because there are many different activities that are going on here. There's exploratory, kids are doing it with candy blast, what did you call it? Others are saying, okay, I'm addicted, I want to get off, but then do I vape? Who's regulating that? So how are we playing?
So what I can say is that there's no lacuna in regulation. And what is happening actually now is the government is even making the regulations more stringent to cover the novel tobacco products and the accessibility. Because the biggest challenge that we have is the accessibility via online marketing and sponsorship. So as it is as of now, what we're talking about is that what we need is enforcement and more accelerated enforcement, even as we are looking at amending the laws to cover those other dynamics of online purchasing. Because I mean, when it comes to online purchasing, there's no age verification. There's no age verification, and these products will just be procured in the guise that they are NRTs, but they are not NRTs. We have guidelines, clear guidelines on NRTs, and these products are not NRTs.
Tobacco manufacturing companies are some of the biggest contributors to tax revenues for the government. So airtime and data consumption, number one. Alcohol and alcoholic beverages products, number two. Tobacco comes in very close there, even before banks and all these other things. Do you think the government would really want to put a tight leash on this industry?
So first, to debunk that, the total contribution of tobacco in Kenya, all the way from growing to tax revenue, is approximately 3% of GDP. So I would hardly say it's the biggest, because GDP, if there's 100%, there's 97% that's coming from somewhere else. But you also have to counterbalance that with the figure I gave you, that out of that 3% to GDP that they are giving us, we are spending $544 million USD to deal with the effect of tobacco-related illness. So what you get with one hand, the research has shown, for every dollar we get from the industry, we spend 2 to 2.3 to deal with the consequences. So it's a net loss. So
is that the view of the government or the view of advisors such as yourself?
That's a view of the government. There's a report that we are launching this World No Tobacco Day on the economic costs of tobacco use.
Okay. So then we have this big snake that bites our children, and we keep going to the snake to harvest antivenom so that we can treat the same children from the snake bites from the same. Why not just kill the snake? Why not ban growing tobacco in this country altogether?
Before I answer that, just to echo on what Rachel has mentioned, you see, there's this another analogy, and it's a tobacco industry tactic: economic exaggeration. You understand me? Because we need to ask ourselves, if one, that money was not spent on those tobacco products, does it mean that that money, somebody will light a fire with it? That money will be spent on something else. Okay, so there's nothing big about there's no fuss about saying that, oh, you know, these guys, they're paying a lot of taxes, and in most cases they collect the tax on behalf of the government. You understand me? So even if that money was not spent on tobacco products, that money will be spent on something else. About the issue of banning the growing of tobacco, of the tobacco, it's not something that will just happen drastically and say, okay, you know what, we have banned the growing of tobacco. But as it is in Kenya, tobacco was deregistered as a cash crop. It stands deregistered as a cash crop. So tobacco is not recognized as a cash crop in Kenya. And again, what the government is doing is it's promoting alternative livelihood, like what is happening in Migori. Migori happens to have won WNTD, that is a World No Tobacco Day award, because of the shift from tobacco growing to alternative livelihood, that is the red beans and what have you. So it's something that will happen over a period of time, and it can only happen with a lot of sensitization to our people and offering alternative livelihoods. Because in most cases, people will say, okay, fine, I stopped growing this, what do I do? But when people are guided and they do economical viable projects, then over time we'll be talking, tobacco will be history.
How much time? I remember asking this question to you, Rachel, last year. Yeah, you know, we are sensitizing farmers, showing them you can do alternatives, you can grow beans instead of growing this tobacco crop. And I asked you, do we have a sunset date where we say we are working towards a certain sunset date by 2040 in Kenya? Tobacco will actually be classified as an illegal plant to grow anywhere. We find it in your farm just like bangi, we arrest you. You can't tell us that, you know, ilikuwa peke yake tu kama managu.
So I don't think we've set a date on it.
Why not?
Probably Ministry of Agriculture needs to be here to answer that. I think with the 3,000 farmers, and that was a pilot, and the scaling up of the project, that it's actually a viable goal that we can eventually stop growing. But the reality also is that even if we stop growing, the industry can still import leaf. So we still import leaf from Uganda and others. So the stopping of growing is because we concerned about the farmers and the health effects that growing tobacco has on them, on things like child labor. So this is about getting our farmers to grow something that's safer, but also something that puts more money in their pocket. Even if we go down to 0 farmers, BAT can still import tobacco leaf. So I think when you look at progressive, the real goal here is reduction of smoking. And if you've seen that we've dropped from national prevalence of 17% to 9% in about, I guess, since 2001, if you look at the DHSs, we are making progress. So if we have reached 9, we have still 9% to go. And with our track record, how we are going, we can eventually get to 2-3%, where then now you can ban the product. So if we banned smoking today, there's 2.3 million addicts out there. We need to reduce that number of addicts substantially before then we can pull the product off the market. So that's why we can't do it pop. And that's why we are doing it progressively. But the science is showing us that we're on the right track. We're actually making progress. So if we can prevent initiation of a fresh number of addicts so that we are just left with that 2.3, which we are whittling away, that's our goal.
Okay, what would you tell Anthony as we conclude the conversation on the crackdowns that they're doing on access of these tobacco products to children? The various ones. So yeah, cigarettes will not be available, easily available to children, but these other products are. What should they do?
So number one, we need to ban flavors because the target of flavors is children. And it's actually not Mudemba to do it, it's Parliament. So currently the government is working on amending the act to ban flavors because currently we've not banned those. Then we need to raise taxes. We have taxes coming up on 31st of May. So again, I'm speaking to policymakers here, MPs. There's a very good proposal in the current finance bill. We are hearing a lot, oh, the whole bill is bad. No, the whole bill is not bad. The tobacco and alcohol section is very good, and they should pass that bit. I don't agree with the motor vehicle tax, but I agree with the one on tobacco and alcohol. And so we can raise taxes even further. And then the online marketing and particularly something like Velo that has not yet taken root in the market can actually be banned.
Okay. Thank you very much. So you conclude in about 10 seconds.
Yeah, just to add on that, the biggest issue is accessibility and via online marketing. So what the government is doing is working with other agencies, particularly the Communications Authority, so that at times like when you log into, let's say, Facebook or Instagram or whatever, you type just a word tobacco, it gets flagged. So you're not able to access those online shops on those products.
Anthony Mudemba, Head of the Tobacco Control Unit at the Nairobi City County Government, and Rachel Kitonyo Devotsu, Senior Tobacco Control Advisor. Thank you for joining us. 8 a.m. this Friday is World Tobacco Day.
It's now 8
No Tobacco Day.
Get effective relief from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Relief starting.
Possible collapse of the production and manufacturing sector in the country if the proposed 2024 finance bill sails through. Mwangi stated that the bill will cripple the sector due to many of the proposed levies which will affect various sections such as raw materials and production services. Despite stating that manufacturers account for the majority of jobs created in the country and revenue collection, Mwangi criticized the government for imposing taxes on raw materials and financial services that drive production, claiming that the move would discourage investment in the country. This event comes as the Parliamentary Finance Committee continues to listen to various views that are being given by Kenyans over the proposed 2024 finance bill. The National Treasury is seeking additional funds to mitigate the effects of the floods witnessed in the country over the last 2 months. Treasury PS Chris Kiptoo, while appearing before the National Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee, said 2 billion shillings is required to rebuild and restore roads and schools affected by floods. The PS told the committee that a further 1.8 billion shillings will be allocated in the 2024-2025 budget for the restoration of school infrastructure. He, however, said an assessment will be undertaken to evaluate the full impact of the floods. And police in Nyakach, Kisumu County have arrested an 18-year-old boy after he hit to death a relative for allegedly calling his father a witch in Dirubi village. His father, identified as Ochieng, was later killed by an angry mob that invaded his home in retaliation. The angry mob father went ahead to burn down 4 houses at the home of the suspect. The Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Affairs is today expected to continue hearing stories of families who are victims of violence allegedly in the hands of Batuk officers who are the British Army in the country. Committee Chairman Nelson Koech will be listening to several families in Samburu County in an effort to ensure that justice is served for the victims. Yesterday, the committee camped in Laikipia, where they met the family of Agnes Wanjiru, a girl who was allegedly killed by the officers and her body thrown into a sewage tank.
Saa hizi tunaongelelea kuhusu komiti, tunyamaze tena mpaka kitu kingine jitokeze ndio tena hii kesi itarudi. Tunauliza ni mpaka lini? Tunataka haki ya Shiro itendeke. Tumengojea miaka mingi, miaka 12, tumechoka. Tunataka haki yake sasa.
Wale maofisa wote ambao watakuja wa Kenya kwa mazoezi ama kuweza kujifundisha mambo ama kutumia ardhi ya Kenya kufanya mafunzo yao, na wafanya makosa ama kutoa uhai kwa binadamu yeyote wa taifa hili, watachukuliwa hatua na kupelekwa kotini.
The committee also gave an opportunity to other victims who were allegedly attacked by Batuk officers in the Lodaiga tragedy, where more than 1,000 acres of land were destroyed.
Mabomu waliwasha wakalipuka wakaadhirisha watu wakakufa hata wanyama. Wakati tumeanza kuulizia hiyo maswali, wasungu wa hii mashamba wakaanza kuwaenda kuwafisha, wakakuwa wanafanya training kwao kujaribu kututorokea tena, ndio hiyo bado wakiwa kule ndani, ndio hiyo tena bomu bado wamelipua huko ka affect sisi nje.
We would appreciate, this inquiry is not about evicting the British from Laikipia. It's about a more sustainable training. It's about reflecting how this training has been for the past decades it has been in existence, and eyeing for a more sustainable training that benefits the local community.
That's the News Wire. I'm Lea Ubaga.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Quite some traffic on Jogoro this morning, getting out towards Landis. This is going to stop as you get towards the Sharimoyo and then out towards the roundabout. Some of it going to Lusaka Road, the rest going towards Landis, and then you stop at the roundabout. Kamkunji, everybody's offloading stuff at Wakulima still at this hour. Uhuru Highway is also busy. Coming in from Nyeri National Stadium, Langata Road, and even before that, traffic is then trickling through towards Uhuru Highway. That looks pretty busy. Also seeing some traffic on Valley Road this morning, quite some of that as you get then out towards the Nyaya House roundabout. And on State House Road, traffic has already begun. Muranga Road busy as you get towards the Globe Cinema roundabout, and we're also seeing quite some of this coming off of Wangari Maathai Way, getting out towards National Museums and then out towards Uhuru Highway. So all of that bumper to bumper. Take a look at the Thika Superhighway this morning. Very, very, very heavy traffic as you come in from Mathari North Road heading out towards the city. Also coming off of Kiambu Road, that has also started to pile up. We're into traffic hour proper this morning. Limu Road is also busy coming in from Kitisuru out towards Muthaiga. And it continues. Folks, let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, 7 minutes after 8. How are you doing now? We are on to the third hour of the show. Senior?
Well done.
Okay. And we are still on Friday. Senior?
Right, sure. Okay.
Yeah. It's the 29th day, the Friday. Then tomorrow is the 30th Friday. Then the day after is the 31st Friday.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We are slowing down the end of May because once we get to June, my friend, June, mambo mingi. First of all, KRA June. Woo! Returns. Have you done nothing?
Sorry?
There's something called filing returns.
Oh, okay.
Yes? Your individual income tax returns.
By June like this?
Between January and June, you can file your returns. But do you know that? Nah, we know June.
We know
June 1st? No. June 2nd? No. June 30th? Yes.
System down. Hang.
So, by the way,
extend.
if you have not filed your returns, please file today before we get into June and everybody is starting to get into that one. And then also ETIMS. We've been talking about ETIMS, Electronic Tax Invoice Management System. How do you do it? ecitizen.kra.go.ke or through the USSD code *222# and then you go to the KRA option. Currently it's at number 5 and then you go into ETIMS invoice and then you generate the invoice and it's as simple as 222 like we've been saying. Now, if you don't believe us, we've brought the person here who is from KRA, from ETIM's desk, to say and tell us why. And our guest for the next hour is Andrew Momanyi. He is a tax expert at the ATIM's office of the Kenya Revenue Authority. Mutu ya ushuru iko hapa. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
You're the people that we all love to hate, but you only implement what has been passed in law by our lawmakers.
Yes.
So you're not the ones who, for example, are going to increase the motor vehicle circulation tax. Yours is, if it passes, you implement and enforce.
Yes. But it's still a proposal, so...
And that's what I'm saying. If it passes, we will be beating you then. So, anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
City is not in. He's gone to work from... he's working from home, which his home is where he is.
Okay.
If City is in Eldoret, he is working from home, so he's in Eldoret.
He's doing some business.
He's working. Yeah, he's doing the business. He's doing the business. And then from LD, he'll be in Kisumu doing the business. And then on Monday, he'll be back here, God willing.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. So he left us with the proverb. This week, the proverbs are from the Republic of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe has one president and two vice presidents. I don't know whether the first and the second vice president earn the same amount of money. I don't know whether they are hardworking men. I don't know whether they are honest men. But the president is called Emerson Mnangagwa. Okay?
Yes.
That is the president. I'll tell you about the vice presidents shortly. The vice president number one is called Constantino Chimenga. Vice president number two, Kembo Mohadi. Okay? That's Zimbabwe. The proverb from Zimbabwe for today is, what you have found, eat with your relatives, because strangers are forgetful. What you have found, eat with your relatives, because strangers are forgetful. What do you think this proverb is telling us?
I think the proverb is just trying to emphasize the need of being close to those that you constantly work with or share things together, because for the strangers, at one point maybe they might have ill intentions, or they might not come in handy when you need them.
They're not loyal.
They're not loyal.
People have not met relatives, eh? That what you have found, eat with relatives. They'll be like, kumbuka nayo. As you bring everything, we eat.
Hyena factor
comes in. People have actually said in this country, it's better to eat with strangers than relatives. You can just leave kidogo for relatives, and then you sit down and
at least you would expect
prepare
it from
a table for you would
expect it from strangers. You would not expect it from your family.
From your own family members. Apana. So the Finance Act 2023 said that everybody must generate a tax invoice. Okay?
Yes.
And then now everybody who is then filing and claiming that they have spent certain expenditures, they must prove using the tax invoices.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then KRA started telling us, okay, you guys, so from what is the first date? January. And then you moved the date to March, that you must comply. Is there still a window for compliance? Did that window pass?
There's still room. The window passed in terms of the deadline, which was official. And actually, the 31st was just an administrative way of KRA trying to show that we care. And allowing people who are still in the process, because December is a festive season, and majority of the people are actually away. So come January, them trying to register and all that, they were given a 3 months period to just finish up with what they're spending. And now after that, we still allow people to onboard, only that there are consequences of the actions of being late. One of them is that the expenditure that you've incurred, you cannot be able to support it in your income tax return. The other thing is you cannot be able to claim any VAT that you've paid because it's not supported by a tax invoice. And lastly, it's already an offense to generate an invoice which is not an electronic tax invoice.
So what's the penalty for that?
The penalty is based on the tax that has not been declared or is being evaded, because sometimes it's by choice. So, and it's being enhanced in this coming bill, the 2024 finance bill, so that it becomes a bit stringent for those who don't heed to whatever the law requires. Yes.
We'll talk about that proposal for that hefty penalty. We'll talk about it later. But now, so far, what's the compliance like?
So far, we have like 260,000 businesses who have already complied, and they are generating invoices. And we still have a bit more to be able. The target was almost around 900,000 businesses compared to whatever active taxpayers that were filing returns. So we'll be able to finalize that once we get to 30th June, and all people who have business income would have filed, and then we'll be able to do a comparative analysis.
So when you say businesses,
yes,
these are registered entities?
Yes.
Whether it's,
They're registered as well as individuals. There are also individuals who are in business, trading as themselves, so combined.
So 290,000?
260.
260,000?
Yes.
Against a target of 900,000?
Yes.
That's poor performance, boss.
It's I would say for the few months that we've managed to actually bring them on board, and the solutions that are available, we are seeing a steady increase because of people are getting more aware, and there are some sectors that we are helping to actually onboard. So majority of the sectors which are very active and within, they have already onboarded. But the other sectors which probably are individuals, and also those sectors which had not been keeping records, that's where I think the biggest challenge is.
Okay. So I think initially it was December when the first word, kind of was starting to macerate amongst people. Now, can we just go through it again?
Okay.
What are people supposed to do? Because I do think that there are quite a number of folks who are saying, okay, so what? I need to do something new in order to continue running my business. What exactly needs to happen here for you to be e-Teams compliant?
So the first thing is that are you a business person having business income? So if you're a business person having that business income, then you need to actually record your transactions in an electronic form. And through that recording, the output is actually a tax invoice. And tax invoice stands for both a receipt and an invoice. So whenever you, let's look at a business transaction, you've procured a service or you've procured a product. Then normally you're usually given a receipt.
Yes.
For that transaction. It's what supports whatever transaction has taken place. So what we are basically saying is that receipt be converted into electronic invoice for purposes of that transaction. So you're just migrating or transitioning from a manual receipt to an electronic receipt.
Okay, so that's essentially what it is.
Yes.
To have a record of this transaction in the cloud. But it is for KRA purposes. It is not for me as a business. It is not for the person that I am buying from. Neither is it for the person who is selling to me. Because, and I think it's important, Andrew, because folks are asking, so why? For whose purpose is this digital invoice then?
It caters for both the seller, buyer, and KRA. And the reason why we tie that in an electronic invoice is that you realize as a business you're required to keep records. These records would also help you when you're seeking credit facilities. These same records are used for your tax purposes. These same records are used for your own analysis of how the business is performing. So what KRA is saying, why can't we have a standardized way of keeping records so that it benefits all the parties involved, so that you as the purchaser, you have a record that you can validate. Us as KRA, we can simplify the tax processes using the same record, And the seller can keep their records and be able to get to know their business transactions at a glance and still comply with the requirement to keep records. Yeah, so we are trying to ensure that all parties are catered within this same document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, how would you know if a business doesn't? Because
yes.
I'm selling bananas. I'm selling bananas. How would you know that I'm not issuing or asking for an invoice?
So whenever you are doing a transaction like that, maybe you're purchasing the bananas, there's something that you'll be given in return of maybe it's a payment you've made, or it's the goods that you're receiving. Whatever will accompany those goods, if it's a receipt, it will have some features which are standard in all invoices and also receipts which are being issued. And one of the key features is a QR code. So meaning that at a glance, you can be able to know whether this is an eTeams invoice or a Teams invoice. The Teams is basically those ETRs that we had initially. So if you get to see the receipt, then you'll see. The other thing you'll see is also a unique invoice number. So those two features, you can be able to actually validate the invoice and get to know whether it's a real invoice or a fraudulent invoice. By just, if you have a smartphone, you scan. If you don't have a smartphone, pick the number, use the web to be able to validate.
Okay. But then KRA will not know if Ndu and I are trading and we have not issued each other a tax invoice and a tax receipt.
KRA does the compliance checks for businesses. We have teams outside which move just checking businesses' compliance. So that is a team that would be able to flag out any non-compliance in the business arena.
So you talked about, let's say, a small business. At the end of its financial year, it will now be, of course, filing its returns, right? And income tax returns to say, this is the kind of business I did, these are my revenues, these were my expenditures, and therefore I'm declaring a loss. And so, KRA, please, msiniulize kitu yoyote, sina pesa.
Understand.
Hata mkinitoa, sina pesa. Now, but you're saying now, for me to do all that, I need to have the electronic tax invoice records to actually show that these were my expenses.
Yes.
Let's go into a small business. A small business is paying rent. A small business is paying salaries. A small business has utilities. It's paying for water, it's paying for power, it's paying for internet, right?
Yes.
Such utilities. And then a small business is maybe supplying, it's paying for people who have supplied one or two things, maybe office supplies here, maybe. So all those things must have eTeams invoices.
Yes.
Even the water company must give me an eTeams bill.
Yes.
The power company must give me an eTeams bill.
Yes.
The internet provider should also give me an eTeams bill.
Yes.
Are they aware of that?
Yes. Majority of them are aware of it, and for those who are not aware, then it's the prerogative of the person transacting with them to demand the eTeams invoice, because remember, these records, you're keeping your own records, and for any business transaction, for you to be able, even in accounting, you're able to actually indicate the expenditures that you've incurred based on the receipts that you have or the invoices that you have. And once these things are all in eTeams, then the Revenue Authority will be able to simplify, because for VAT taxpayers, we've simplified how they do their filing, and it's all based on these electronic invoices, so that even if you're not very conversant with tax processes or compliance, then the system will find a way to actually simplify it for you so that you are able to comply with ease.
Okay. And you talked about business income.
Yes.
So consultancies, if you're a consultant, an individual consultant, and you're billing a certain entity, should you also generate an eTeams invoice?
Yes, yes, because it's that qualifies as a service, and for that service, then you bill using the electronic invoice for the amount that you are charging, And also if it's you're dealing in goods, which is the opposite of the service, then you also issue the electronic tax invoice for that particular product.
So this requirement of e-teams came into place, some 6 months ago, right?
Yeah, in 1st September 2023.
Right.
Yes.
Now, if you have not really started, maybe you have a company that has been running but haven't really started doing business, when does this kick in? When you issue your first payment requirement, when you issue your first invoice, that is when when KRA is asking for you to be e-teams compliant? Or must you, as a business, it doesn't matter where you are, register for it so that as you start doing business, it starts to roll in? What's the procedure for that? Must you then register? It doesn't matter whether you're doing business currently or not, or how does that work?
Yes, it's actually the latter. You register first, and then at the point where you get that business, then you'll be able to record it using that transaction, because you realize that if you don't register, maybe at that point where you're transacting that business, then the process of registration and issuance of the invoice might prove to be a challenge to you at that point. But as long as you have business income and you're intending to undertake this business, not yet deregistered or is still on, then you'll be required to actually register and await for recording of those transactions as and when they happen.
Is registration open at any time and it continues to be in perpetuity?
Yes, it does, because any time that you require to register, then we have the simplified solutions, which, for example, what Eric said about the USSD, and also the web and iCitizen, and then the other full solutions that we offer also under eteams.kra.go.ke. Yeah,
we'll talk about doctors a bit later. That is everyone. Let's talk about landlords now. Should landlords issue e-teams invoices to their tenants?
Yes, they should, because
for commercial or for even residential?
Even residential. Rental income is a business income that would require one to actually declare and pay. So whatever will support that transaction is an electronic invoice or a receipt, which is from e-teams. So they're required to actually issue for every tenant.
Okay, but Andrew, in this country, you get a tenant, munakubaliana, unampatia account, anaweka pesa. Asipoweka, unatuma mtu anaweka padlock.
Yes.
At what point are you generating an invoice, boss?
You see, it's depending on the contract that you already have. There are scenarios where somebody is told by every 5th you need to have paid rent. So come the 5th, I can generate an invoice sent to the tenant to trigger the payment. Or there are others who now they say anytime between 1st and 10th you can pay me. So the moment they pay, then you can be able to generate an invoice. So it's based on whatever contract that you have with your tenant for purposes of that receipting an invoice.
But what you're saying, because many landlords do not issue invoices every month to their tenants. This is what happens. Or even receipts. Okay, sometimes receipts will happen, consolidation, because I'll just do a statement of the payment. Are you now saying that all landlords should every month issue an e-teams invoice?
Yes.
Whether you're giving it to your tenant or not, just generate it.
And you see the beauty about e-teams, you don't have to actually print to be able to transmit it to your tenant. You can even share via WhatsApp, you can share via email, and other digital formats. So as long as the invoice has been generated and shared or transmitted to the tenant, because you see, you may not be aware of what the tenant is using that. Probably they have some business transaction that they are conducting at home, and part of the expenditure they want to show is the rent. It's important that as a landlord, then you just comply by issuing those tax invoices, because it's basically an income. And even you realize that even for employment, the moment you're deducted your salary, there's usually something to show how your salary has been deducted and what you earned for that particular month. So also with business income is same.
Okay.
It's just a change of culture that we are required to adopt.
Okay.
Yes.
How is KRA doing on the issue of collection of rental income tax?
So rental income is in two ways. There is commercial rent, and then there is residential rent. So the residential rent, we have a simplified way of how it's collected, which is a monthly payment or declaration. And for anyone earning up to 15 million a month, or in a given financial year, then you're required to actually undertake monthly rental income, where you declare the rents that you've received on a monthly basis in a simplified format, where you currently the rate is at 7.5%. So you're able to actually undertake an easy way of declaration. And even we are intending to simplify it further once these records are being captured through e-teams, so that we can have a way in which we pre-fill, or you're able to view your transactions and declare and pay.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the compliance rate when it comes to rental income tax?
I think for monthly rental income, currently they are paying. Probably majority have not started, or maybe a certain number. The compliance rate is quite high because it's a simplified way of declaration. And even I'm sure once they start doing the electronic invoicing to their tenants, then it becomes even much more easier, because those transactions are being kept in some format that can be able to translate into the filing.
Yeah, so you're saying a majority of landlords in this country are actually paying tax?
Yes.
A majority?
A majority.
By
yes.
what percentage?
I wouldn't be able to know the current statistics, but I know that the monthly rental income is fairly doing well, and we're still continuing to monitor the compliance rate and through the registration of these properties, and also the data that I with different agencies, and that is enhancing the compliance rate to ensure that everybody pays their fair share of taxes.
Okay. Let's take a break. We'll continue shortly. We are talking about the electronic tax invoice management system, e-teams, and the tax expert at Kenya Revenue Authority, Andrew Momanyi, is our guest. Have you complied? Have you have you registered for e-teams? Have you started generating your e-teams invoices? You're here. So you run a business, you need to be generating invoices for all the payments that you receive. Or you need to be keeping records for all the payments that you make. And that means that you should be invoiced using e-teams. Sijui umeweka mafuta ya gari, sijui you want to come and claim at sijui magari, wapi e-teams. Sijui unanunuanga, sijui ofisi, sijui wapi e-teams. All those things, you need e-teams. And then you're a landlord and you are billing your tenants. You also need to be doing that, generating e-teams invoices every month. You're a doctor. We are going to talk about you shortly. Keep it here.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes, but then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning, we'll see highs of 24 and lows of 15. Into a partly cloudy Nyeri will see highs of 25 and lows of 13, and into Nakuru highs of 25 and lows of 13 as well. It's sunny at 14 in Eldoret with highs of 24, and looking into a sunny Mombasa with highs of 30. We'll see highs of 30 as well in a partly sunny Malindi. It's 21 and sunny in Kisumu with highs of 29, and we'll see highs of 29 as well in a sunny Kakamega. Kampala is sunny at 23, highs of 28, and Dar es Salaam at 22 is sunny going to highs of 31. Johannesburg clear at 8 with highs of 21, while Mogadishu at 27 is sunny. We'll see highs of 31 and highs of 28 in a sunny Addis Ababa, currently at 14. It's clear in Lagos at 27, going to highs of 33, and at 25 it's cloudy in Kinshasa, going to highs of 34.
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, we're still in traffic hour this morning, and let's take a look at what's going on, especially coming off Thika Superhighway, where there was some traffic heading towards Survey. That continues to be quite sticky, coming past that Allsops Junction. And then on to Limuru Road, is where we'll see the most of it this morning. Northern Bypass, then going either towards the Thika Superhighway, coming on Kiambu Road, or through to Limuru Road. All of that seems to be flowing until you stop at the Thika Superhighway. Still a bit busy as you come in from Langata Road going towards Uhuru Highway. On Mombasa Road before that, traffic is clear, smooth, not a problem. Eastern Bypass not giving up as much traffic as it was earlier on, and that looks a lot better as you approach Cabanas North Airport Road. Let's keep an eye and keep things moving this morning. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
25 minutes to 9. A conversation continues with tax expert Andrew Mumanyi from the Kenya Revenue Authority. We're talking about electronic tax invoice management. Why do I keep saying electronics? Electronic tax invoice management system. So yesterday, Andrew, the Committee on Finance and Planning of the National Assembly was receiving memoranda from various stakeholders. One of the stakeholders that went there was the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya. Those also understand a thing or two about accounting and tax issues. And they were sitting there and advising the National Treasury. Come on, people. I mean, we have sung this song for, it's become a hymn, right? Even children know it. They say, according to KRA numbers, about the entities that filed their corporate tax returns, their tax returns for 2022, there were only 6.3 million taxpayers who were captured. This implies that out of a population of about 52 million people, about 15% of the population is contributing to income tax. As such, the tax burden is not shared fairly as envisaged under the Constitution. The increased deductions on the gross emoluments of salaried employees continue to reduce the disposable income on this segment of Kenyans, exacerbating the cost of living and negatively impacting demand and indirect tax revenues. Not only has this resulted in tax fatigue for this pool of taxpayers, it also contravenes the tax maxim of equity and fairness. And the whole conversation here that ISPAC Chairman Philip Kakai was making to the Committee of Parliament is, please tell those guys at the National Treasury who also deal with KRA, widen the tax bracket. You're only taxing a small pool of people and you now keep piling more taxes. So widen the tax bracket. Now, ETIMS is for everybody who has a business income.
Yes.
So we are saying even Mama Mboga, who has a business income, should have in ETIMS.
Yes.
Even to a mechanic should bill me using a tax and ETIMS.
Actually, yes. Because you see, the thing about widening the tax base just basically refers that everybody is within the tax compliance net, and we are paying. Once everyone contributes towards nation building, then I think the economy will grow and we'll have less reliance to the formal sectors, like what you referred to as people who are employed and those who are within the visibility. And I think that's where now ETIMS is trying to actually make sure that everybody is within compliance rate. Because if you take an example of maybe a small person who's employed with some meager income, salary, they pay their fair share of taxes. And somebody else is doing business on the side, probably selling bananas, or the mechanic that you're indicating. They're also earning some income from that profession or trade. And it's only important that they also do some declaration. And if they meet the threshold of income, because what e-Teams does, it does not mean that it's a tax by itself. What it means is it's a record of your incomes. And also, as you incur your expenditure, then you're also receiving similar invoices, so that you can be able to determine, do you meet the threshold to pay taxes? So that will allow us to increase the tax base and also to rope in more members into the tax bracket, thereby reducing the burden. So I agree with ISPAC that if they support this initiative by ensuring that all their clients are adopting electronic tax invoices in their records and maintaining such transactions for declarations, then we are good to go.
Remind us what that threshold is, whereby then you're required to start paying taxes. Remind us what that number is.
It's up to 24,000 a month. Yeah.
So if you're not earning 24,000 shillings a month,
yes,
then you're exempt from paying taxes.
Yes.
And that is tax on your income.
Yes.
Right? So is there a rationale to say that if you're not earning 24,000 shillings, whereby you will not be paying income tax, is there a rationale that applies then to other taxes, whereby then you need to be compliant? If per se you run a business that maybe gives you some profit of 300 shillings a day, which, let's be honest, a lot of people fall into that bracket, would you then be required to sit here in e-Teams?
Yes, you see, the thing that will be able to show us that either you're below or above is the records that you've maintained. And those records are actually the electronic invoices, because they're able to track particular incomes. Sometimes you might have various streams of income. Today you're doing consultancy, tomorrow you're doing something else, and then maybe in the evening you're selling bananas. So if you aggregate all that, then we would be able to establish whether your income has met the threshold to pay or not.
Okay. But see, the thing is, KRA has been knowing this all along, that we need to widen the tax base, but you have been unable to widen the tax base because you are not able to capture. How is this e-Teams going to help you widen the tax base?
The thing is, when you realize that, like for the USSD, if you're a business person, probably you're registering for the first time, you don't have a PIN, then it will be able to register you for a PIN.
Okay.
So you see now that is one person being added into the tax base by having his PIN captured in a simplified way, because we realize that there are people who might not prefer coming to KRA offices. So with technology, then you're able to actually facilitate that person. The other thing is that there are people who might decide to get into business for specific days. So meaning that as you get into business, then we are able to also facilitate you to register for e-Teams and record your transaction and comply and allow you to do your trade wherever you are by keeping those records in a format that KRA requires that will simplify your declarations. And in case you also need to monitor or see your stocks, then this same solution will allow you to be able to keep those stocks, because it's within the same platform that it allows you to maintain that. So you find that with that, then the compliance rate is bound to go higher, because sometimes people are non-compliant not because they want to, but maybe they're having challenges of how to comply. Now, technology, that's where it comes to assist with the compliance.
Okay. There was a hue and cry from farmers, various farmer groups across the country, that now KRA is coming for avocados because of these e-Teams manenos. Can you just clarify what is the e-Teams requirement on a farmer, and then what are the tax obligations on farmers?
So it's very simple. For farmers, there's a produce that you generate, and this produce, as you supply it to either your clients, this would be the cooperatives, or it would be the business entities, limited companies, or even within your
Local market.
Yes, local market. Then you will need to actually generate an electronic invoice, and for them the USSD is most convenient because they're individual farmers, and also the web-based version would be able to come in handy. And for any expenses that they incur, because sometimes they buy fertilizer, they buy chemicals, they pay expenditure for people to harvest and all that, then they would also be able to keep records of electronic invoices, so that when it comes to the point of income declaration, then it becomes very easy because you have what you sold vis-a-vis what you incurred as input towards that income. And then we'll be able to determine. So sometimes you realize by keeping those records, probably you will find that even there is no tax to pay. But without those records, then it becomes hard when somebody comes and tells you, you have to pay this amount of tax, and you don't have any records to try and substantiate.
So you're saying a dairy farmer with 2 dairy cows who's supplying milk every day to the local cooperative,
yes,
needs to be generating tax invoices to the cooperative.
Yes, yes.
You supply like a gallon of milk in the morning, then you generate invoices.
Yes.
How regularly? Should you do it consolidating at the end of the month? Should you do it with every delivery? How?
It's for every supply that you're making, because you might be supplying occasionally or frequently. So, but for also those ones, we are trying to see how, for the entities that are dealing with many individual farmers, how we can come up with a solution that is called reverse invoicing, so that we allow the cooperative to be able to generate invoices on behalf of the farmer, but the farmer will have to confirm that transaction for it to be completed. But that's for those entities that probably, if you're dealing with 1,000 farmers.
Yeah, the cooperative with very many members, and they're supplying small units.
Yes, small units, yes. We can allow you to. So by next month, even the solution will be ready.
For consolidation of
for
those.
Consolidation. But that's just for those who are having challenges dealing with many individual farmers, so that it's just a mode of trying to assist user experience and also simplify tax processes.
Okay. What does an e-Teams invoice have on it? Because I think we're now going into another realm now. What does an invoice have on it, apart from, of course, you're going to have the date, you have the PIN number of, let's say I am the one, and my banana business, I am generating the invoice. So obviously my PIN, my company PIN will be there. What else is required to be on this invoice?
So maybe to break down that one, an invoice is basically divided into 2. We have what we call the fiscal part, which is the mandatory fields, and the non-fiscal part, which is the other details that are not mandatory, but probably the client would require. Probably I want to give you my bank details of where you pay, or I want to indicate to you the vehicle that is transporting that, or so many other details. Or even if I'm dealing in foreign currency, probably I want to tell you the equivalent in dollars. Or I want to give you disbursements. These are things that I paid on your behalf. So all those things are the non-fiscal. But now under the fiscal part, which is the mandatory, the first thing is the seller details. So in every receipt, you'll always see the seller details. That is their PIN, their name, and probably the address. And then you'll also have the date, as we've mentioned. We have the product or service. We have the unit price. This is if you're selling bananas, you're selling them in batches or in sacks and all that. And then what is the unit price for each thing, and then the amount. And then we also have the unique invoice number. Then we also have the tax, if there's any tax like VAT chargeable to it. And then we have the total amount. And then I think basically that's what an invoice will comprise, apart now from other security features like the QR code and all that.
Okay. This is across board, across sector, across industry.
Yes.
Anybody who is generating an e-Teams invoice, it's going to have these fields.
Yes.
All right. Let's zero in on 2 of them that you spoke of. the product and the unit price, which is obviously description, right? Unit price per item, whether it's in sacks or tabs, whatever. On this product line, what must I put? I just put the product, bananas.
Yes.
Right?
Must I write ripe bananas?
Must I write
No.
small
Kasukari.
sweet bananas, Uganda bananas? What must I write here?
You can still the discretion of what to put under the product has been left to the person. This is because this product or good that you're selling, you're the one who knows whether you sell different forms of bananas. So how do you distinguish between the sweet banana and the other normal banana, or even the Uganda banana?
So it is for me.
Yeah, it's for you to decide how you'll categorize them, so that by the time you know that I've sold sweet banana, then you know this one is the small one.
Because there could be different prices.
Yeah,
Sweet banana as 20 bob, Uganda banana at 25.
But you don't need, you just know that a banana was sold and it cost 25 shillings, for example. Okay. And also for unit price, it was 25 shillings per banana. Or it was 2,500 shillings per sack. If it is there, that's what you need. Okay. So why would anybody have an issue about what's the word I'm looking for? The details of this invoice, whether it had anything to do with security or confidentiality between myself and the person that I'm offering this good or service to?
That's a good question. I don't think anyone should have a challenge with the description, because you are the one giving the description of the item that you're selling. So assuming that you do not want to probably disclose the particular item, there are ways in which you can be able to code your items.
Okay.
And once you code your items, then you'll be able to give the generic name that it's known. Okay. So probably, for example, if it's transport service, it's a generic name that I've used. But whether I'm doing transport service for trucks or taxi or all that, then I'll give it a code within myself, which will be able to be visible. And then the one who knows what code is denoting what service, then I'll be able to actually, the information will be available for person who wants to know the particulars of that specific.
Okay. So now I'm a doctor. I sold bananas in my previous life. I now finished med school. I'm a doctor.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was quite, it was quite difficult, but we are here.
I understand.
Right? I treated Eric for his own issue.
Don't.
I'm not disclosing. Don't worry. I got your confidentiality.
Don't tell Kiare,
okay, shh. Don't tell anyone. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, for whatever I treated him for here, on this now when I am presenting his invoice, okay? Because I need him to now pay me. Product, and I am saying product or service, and I am saying medical consultation. Does that suffice?
Yeah, it suffices.
That is what we put on the product line. Now, when I say unit price per this service, 35,000 shillings, I've put that there. That is for this consultation.
Okay.
Is that enough for KRA?
That's enough.
So, why would doctors be up in arms when they say that you're asking me to put in information about this certain thing which doesn't need to be there?
I think maybe there has been some misconceptions of how a tax invoice should be generated and what contains in a tax invoice. But you realize that even when a doctor is treating you, there's usually a form where they put the prognosis and the medical report and all that. So the medical report is never transmitted with the invoice. The invoice will come, and then the others will be more of attachments towards invoice for whichever party that would need that. If you require your medical report, then you'll be issued, you as a client. So it means that it's you as a client who has the medical report. Or if it's the insurance company that would require, then they are the ones who will be given. Anyone who's party to that. But for KRA, will only be required the income of what you've earned or the service that you've been given and what cost has been paid. So writing doctor's fee, writing medical fee and all that, it's dependent on the person who's doing it. So
there's no way here or nowhere here that I have to indicate the name of my patient, the actual name or details of the procedure or medical service that I have then offered. I don't have to do that anywhere.
No.
What you need to know is that there was a service that was offered and this is how much was charged for that service.
Yes, the only part that you would be required maybe to indicate the details of the company is if it's being paid by the insurance. Then you will indicate the name, the PIN of the insurance. If it's being paid by the business entity, maybe your business, you'll put the PIN of your business so that it will just indicate the PIN of your business and this is doctor's fee for one of the employees of that business. So that when you're doing your declarations, then one of the expenses that would be articulated to that business then would be that. But in terms of patient's name and all that, that can be put under the non-fiscal, which is not part of what we require.
Can be, but it is not a necessity.
It's not mandatory.
Okay.
You know, the issue has been there for a while. In fact, the headline on the Business Daily this morning is that doctors are hitting patients with cash bills on ETIMS, right? And this is actually a matter that's coming now from the insurance side. Doctors are forcing patients to pay medical bills in cash on continued snub of the KRA ETIMS, as exposing millions of insured customers to out-of-pocket spending, despite the heavy amount of spending that we spend every month on medical expenses. Medical insurers who spoke to the Business Daily are saying that some doctors are asking patients to pay in cash and then seek reimbursements from their insurers. They're saying, I am not going to write an invoice, an ETIMS invoice to your insurer asking to be paid because KRA wants me to tell your insurer how much or what I treated you for, and I'm not going to do that. The same thing is happening in some pharmacies. They're saying, I'm not going to generate an ETIMS invoice to the insurance company to say the kind of medicine I gave you, because now that is telling KRA, ulikuja hapa nikakupatia dawa ABCD, and that, just by deducing, you can see, kumeri kukuna, you know? And that they're saying that is breaching the confidentiality that's expected of them. How do you respond to this?
It's not... One thing I know is that it's not all doctors or medical facilities that are against, because we have quite a number of hospitals who have onboarded ETIMS and also medical facilities and even some doctors themselves. So, and for those ones, they actually have managed to be able to indicate not the specific treatment that they are issuing to you, but the services that they've offered, whether it's a doctor's fee that they've charged you for consultancy, or whether it is inpatient, or whether it is outpatient service, and or whether it is pharmacy. You see, so there is a way in which somebody can be able to actually undertake that without necessarily doing a disclosure of the specific issue. And it's so as we've looked, it's actually the prerogative of the person who's doing the invoicing to decide what fits the bill based on the invoice that they are giving, so that that information is captured on the invoice, and any other information that may be required which is sensitive then would be accompanied the invoice. Yes.
So have you engaged the Kenya Medical Association, because it's right on this matter? Dr. Simon Kegondu, the president, is unrelenting.
We've actually done a couple of negotiations, and there's also an upcoming engagement in a week's time. I think it will be next week. So where we can be able to actually delve deeper into maybe the contentious issues. But as at now, majority of those issues are already settled. And we would urge them to actually just be able to maintain a record of that in an electronic form.
What exemptions are they seeking? Are they against generating an invoice at all that that KRA will see, or are they against the details required?
I think the contention is that the insurance would require the details and KRA would not require the details, and they would want to capture the details. But from our point of view, then I think having a conversation between all the parties involved, which is what we are seeking to have, will be able to actually unlock that impasse if that is being seen by some quarters, because for others it's not really a challenge for them since they have already complied and they are already issuing electronic tax invoices.
Okay. Now, send a final message to people who are listening and who watched this morning, and they are hearing, oh, e-teams, and they're wondering, so what is this e-teams all about? Am I required to have an e-teams or am I not? In 30 seconds.
Thank you. So I think my first comment would be for those persons in tech firms or technology. This is an opportunity for them to be able to bring innovative ways of how we can be able to partner and give our businesses more simplified solutions of how they would invoice. And for those who are yet to onboard and you have business income, then this is an opportunity to be able to adopt either the simplified solution that is available or the full solution in terms of compliance for record keeping, which will in turn be able to allow you to be compliant for your taxes and declarations, and also serve your customers best, because everybody would require an e-teams invoice. And lastly, look out for, we'll be coming up with a lottery where people would win for purposes of supporting e-teams validation.
You got a promotion.
Yes. Okay.
Andrew Momanyi is a tax expert from the e-teams office of the KRA. It's 9 a.m. news time.
It's now 9 a.m. Get effective relief from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Relief starts here.
Standard Group journalist Shadrach Miti has died while undergoing treatment at a hospital in Kiambu County. His colleagues have described him as a seasoned reporter on the education bit, with others saying that he was such a humble and gentle soul, and may his soul rest in eternal peace. Religious leaders in Kakamega County want the National Assembly to reconsider the financial bill for the year 2024-2025 and remove some of the tax proposals, which they claim, if passed, may cause even more burden to the common Mwananchi. Led by Bishop Ken Baraza and Idris Muhammad, they have advised the government to stop ignoring the pleas of Kenyans and instead fulfill the promises they made during the campaigns.
Ahadi ya kwanza ambayo walikuwa wakisema katika majukwaa ya siasa ni kwamba wao wakifika huko watarudisha maisha kuwa chini. Badala yake tunaona kila leo maisha yanazidi kufanya nini? Kupanda juu, mpaka mwananchi wa kawaida ameshindwa namna ya kufanya.
We are appealing to the national government. Please, as a church we are saying, can you now be sensitive to the needs of common mwananchi? Taxes are good. It's good to tax mwananchi, but can we be reasonable? Can we be reasonable enough that we tax people in a reasonable way, knowing that also they are having responsibilities?
The leaders have further urged President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua to resolve their differences in order to avoid dividing the nation.
The issue of misunderstanding between the president and his vice. It is something that is coming down to the machinani, and if we do not right now stand up and put things in order, it will weaken the leadership. At the same time, it's going to delay the implementation of the agendas that you laid before you came into the power. So as a church, we stand to pray, number one. Number two, we desire that you come together and sit. It is not a problem when one of us differs with us. In leadership, you must be ready to be criticized. But the way you respond to criticism matters a lot.
Despite some Kenyans criticizing President William Ruto for spending more than 200 million shillings to travel to the United States following the invitation by President Joe Biden to a farmer in Trans Nzoia County by the name Ruth Manasseh, the trip was worth the pay. Manasseh feels that the money that was agreed on, that is more than 900 million shillings, will be used to boost the national economy, health services in the prison departments, apart from raising the status of the KDF through military training that will be done with the United States.
Anaitwa Ruth Manasseh, president wetu. Recently amekuwa in United States. Tunatarajia kwamba tutakuwa na maendeleo nyingi na pia utaendelea kufanya urafiki na other nations, uendelee kuleta investments, utaleta a lot of impact to our nation. Hasa upande wa health, ameingia na mambo mengi ambayo ita upgrade our health, na pia prison ita upgrade na businesses ita grow in our country Kenya. Kwa hivyo nakupongeza sana. Mimi kama hustler, hii ng'ombe nilikuwa nimenunua ni yangu, na mimi leo nimeamua hustler azawadi President Ruto.
She says that the funds allocated to IBC will promote democracy, free elections and access to justice during the elections.
Naona wale ambao wanapinga safari za rais wanakosea kabisa, kwa sababu sisi kama Kenya yenyewe tuko na shida nyingi, tuko na kazi nyingi ambayo inafaa tufanye. Bila kushikana na other countries hatutafaulu. Hata election tuko sure kwamba upande wa IBC kutakuwa na haki na pia kutakuwa na ukweli. Sisi kina mama tunaenda kupata nafasi nzuri, na pia walemavu wanaenda kupata nafasi zao za haki. Ni vizuri tuende huko nje, tutafute investors waje kuinvest here, tutafute wale ambao watainvest in businesses in Kenya waje, ili kwamba tufanye kwa pamoja, na hiyo itainua hata uchumi wa nchi yetu.
That's the News Wire. I'm Lao Ubaga.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
At a few minutes after 9 o'clock, I think we're seeing dwindling traffic now through parts of the city. It's still a bit heavy on Jogoo Road as you come in from the Manyanja Road crossover and then through towards the Makadara train station. That's where we see just a little bit of that left. Also coming in from Upper Hill into the CBD this morning, there's some that's all going to connect to the Huru Highway, and that's quite busy. Valley Road started off quite busy today, and it's still busy at this point. Survey and then through to the city is busy. Let's take a look at Outer Ring. We're coming in through the Allsop stage. There's quite some traffic there. It's just a recent development, and it's bumper to bumper as you approach the Thika Superhighway. All right, we're going to keep an eye on things and see what happens as we come to the end of traffic hour this Wednesday. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Lafiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
7 after 9, how are you doing? On to the final hour of the Situation Room this Friday.
You're still on that, aren't you?
My friend, Friday comes early. It is what happens. The proverb from Zimbabwe, today's proverb: what you have found, eat it with your relatives, because strangers are forgetful. Strangers, you give them today, tomorrow they're like, but I think this thing is the other way around. It's actually relatives.
Eat it with strangers, because you never know what your relatives
do not remember. How they don't remember. They're the ones who don't remember. Yeah?
It is strange, but I actually agree with you.
You do?
I do.
Let me tell you. So I was telling you about that story from Mombasa. Caretaker, German man, German house.
Go.
A man who had attempted to shortchange his employer by claiming ownership of his property has suffered a setback after the Court of Appeal okayed his eviction from a building he was occupying illegally in Malindi. Mr. Amin Mohammed Hamid, whom Mr. Werner Sebastian had hired to look after his house, had tried to prevent the German national from evicting him by claiming that he had a share in the property and would incur significant losses if kicked out. He requested the court to issue stay orders to protect his interests while awaiting the outcome of an appeal that he plans to file against his eviction. However, the Court of Appeal rejected this request, stating that Mr. Hamid did not adequately justify his application. Justices Agnes Murgor, George Dunga, Kibaya, Laibuta said they were not convinced that Hamid's planned appeal would become meaningless if the stay order were not issued. So what happened? The case goes back to 2005, when Sebastian bought the property from Malindi Estates Limited and registered it in his name. The foreigner then built a two-bedroomed house on the ground floor where he lived, and two additional houses, two-bedroomed and one-bedroom units, on the first floor. He then travelled back to his home country of Germany, leaving Mr. Hamid to look after the property. The court record shows that sometime in 2013, Mr. Hamid cautioned Mr. Sebastian to never return to Kenya due to an alleged warrant of arrest which had been issued against him. Boss, this year I want you. Don't come, stay there. When I returned to Kenya in 2015, I found that Mr. Hamid had rented out the property to third parties. The German then moved to court to ask for various orders, including that Mr. Hamid and his tenants vacate the premises and a permanent injunction be issued to block them from entering or interfering with his property. He also asked for an annulment of an agreement that Mr. Hamid had entered into alongside other orders for payment of damages. Hamid denied Mr. Sebastian's claim, but admitted that the foreigner was the owner of the property and that he built the ground floor of the house. But according to him, he's the one who completed the first floor after Sebastian had given it to him as a gift.
What?
German built house. German liked Hamid so much. Told him, here, have house. Hamid was like, thank you, boss. Boss goes back to Germany. Hamid now decides, let me build extension upstairs.
Yeah.
He puts up a two-bedroom and a one-bedroom unit on the first floor. Brings tenant enters.
Rents house.
The defendant further filed a counterclaim asking the court to issue an injunction preventing Sebastian and his agents from accessing, occupying, or in any manner interfering with his enjoyment of the property. The foreigner, his agents, or assigns to be compelled to unconditionally restore my water pipes and make good any other loss that he illegally caused to be occasioned or removed from the two houses built on the first floor of the building. Environment and Lands Court Judge Millicent Odenyi had initially ruled in favor of the German in a judgment issued in November 2023. Hamid, however, was going now to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal judge said, you don't need to bring that case here.
Hold on a minute. I have questions.
Yeah.
So, the gentleman, the German gentleman,
Sebastian.
Did he actually give this house to Hamid?
No.
According to him?
He says no.
So why would Hamid conjure up a story to say that this house then was given to him as a gift?
Yeah, because that's
he wanted to steal,
that's his side of the story.
That's his side of the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he says that he's the one who built the upper houses. Remember, we're talking about between 2005 and 2013. Just a period of 8 years.
Yeah.
Guy bought property in 2005, built house on it, then went back to Germany.
So did he decided to come back and reside in Kenya and found Hamid had moved into his house?
Actually, it's 10 years. In 2013 is when he's told by Hamid, "Hey, boss, DCI, anti-terror police.
Don't come.
Navy.
Navy.
All come.
Everybody
looking for you.
People don't in come. Uniform, don't come.
Stay there."
So he instilled fear in him to think that for some reason that he was not. I wonder why he would have agreed to stay behind in Germany if he had not done anything wrong.
So he came back in 2015.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, so, but what's happening? So he comes back in 2015. Maybe he had informers.
You are living in my house, and that's why you told me not to come
and
back.
even have put tenants here.
Added people.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what did the court then decide?
The Environment and Land Court ruled and said, no, the house belongs to Sebastian. Okay? The house belongs to Sebastian. You, Hamid, please leave. Hamid is saying, but I'm the one who put up these other two ninis, so I have a share of the property.
Unless I will go with my upper house.
That's why he's going to the Court of Appeal. So the Court of Appeal can issue an injunction and say, do not evict him until we hear this case. Those three judges said, you can leave. You can...
And go with your house. The one on the roof.
Something else happened. You can please look at. You have the star with you, Senior?
Nope.
You may have the star.
You have.
Look at that story on page 6 of the star.
I'm gonna do just that.
As you look at that story on page 6 of the star, let me tell you a story on page 2 of the Nation. Okay. President William Ruto has directed public universities to do away with programs that are unattractive to students as he challenged them to identify areas of specialization. The president said this when he met vice chancellors and principals of university colleges at State House, Nairobi, yesterday to discuss the status of public universities. He asked the universities and the State Department of Higher Education to identify the programs that do not have students and to consolidate programs so that the institutions can specialize in their niche areas. He said VCs must come up with incentives to attract students to priority programs that are needed to grow the economy, especially in STEM and mining. The VCs informed the president that the process of rationalizing university programs has begun. This follows the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. The report, which observed that the expansion of university education has led to them offering similar courses and academic programs, but they were lacking specialization. The report also recommended an amendment to the Universities Act by inserting a new section to provide for merger, conversion, and amalgamation of two or more public universities or university colleges. The Ministry of Education has already drafted amendment bills to effect these recommendations. Also in attendance were the CS, Ezekiel Machogu, the PS for Higher Education, Beatrice Inyangala, the CEO of the Higher Education Loans Board, Charles Ringera, and his university's fund counterpart, Geoffrey Munari. The meeting also evaluated the higher education funding. This is where you come in, okay?
This is where I come in.
The meeting also evaluated the higher education funding model, which was introduced last year. The model is a combination of scholarships and students' loans. The president promised to enhance support for the differentiated unit cost from the current 42% to 50% for students who are not under the new model. Meanwhile, UASU has waded into the governance row that has rocked UN. Now, that's a different story. So the issue here is the president had a meeting with the VCs and the principals of the various colleges and the HELB and the universities fund bosses. And they looked at this new model of funding universities where there's some money that is going directly to, categorization. The vulnerable, and those that get support, and then those who get the percentages, differentiated percentages of loans, okay? And they also now looked at how much are we putting into the differentiated unit cost. It should be coming at to 80%. Oh, it has been operating at 42%. Ruto says we shall take it to 50%. And as we continue, in 3 years' time, universities shall be self-sufficient with all these reforms that are going on. What's the story in the Star?
Crisis as state cuts help for new students.
Allah.
Help is what? The loan facility
Higher
for
Education
students. Higher
Loans
Education
Board.
Loans Board. Now, a record 83% of last year's KCSE students will not get funding after the government cut the help budget. Cut it. The budget slash will also see continuing students under the old funding system left out. The shocking revelations are contained in the National Assembly's Education Committee report on the consideration of the 2024-2025 budget estimates. The committee is chaired by Tindret MP Julius Melly. State Department for Higher Education and Research Principal Secretary Beatrice Inyangala urged the committee to intervene and save the sector from a full-blown crisis. To fund the 122,634 students who sat their KCSE last year, HELP needs 13.8 billion shillings, but only 2.4 billion shilling was availed in the budget. The 2.4 billion, according to the State Department, can only cater for tuition and accommodation for 21,512 students only. A total of 101,122 university students, that's 83%, will therefore not be funded through tuition and upkeep loans. Essentially, what that means then is that they will not attend varsity. HELB requested 31.8 billion for tuition and upkeep loans for both continuing and last year's candidates. HELB has a financing deficit of 11.4 billion. The PS said that continuing students under the old model will not get funding given the shrinking allocation. So you can imagine, you were in third year university. You finished second year with your HELB loan and you knew that you were going to get another
continuation for the next year.
Now you're being told nothing. It's not going to happen. Not that maybe we'll give you some or that we will give you 25%. You will get
nothing.
Nada. You wonder how then you deal with that. The PS also went on to say that the reduced Treasury allocated 34.1 billion to 369,029 students who were admitted under the old funding model. This has reduced the coming financial year, with the government allocating a paltry 17.85 billion. Most affected students who are in their third to sixth years. Continuing students in their 4 universities will not be funded if Parliament passes the budget estimates as proposed by Treasury. We're looking down the rabbit hole now. This is what's happening in the next 1 month. If Parliament passes this budget that has been proposed by Treasury, we are going to see hundreds of thousands of students not be able to continue their university education as was because of the facility that HELP provided.
Okay. You know, I still don't understand this categorization of students.
The needy and non-needy.
The funding model that's now in place, right? And then the impact of that on HELB and the impact of that on the differentiated unit costs that comes in. I'm still not very clear on it. The point here is that there's HELB, and HELB is the Higher Education Loans Board. So you apply. There are some people who will get 100%. There are some people who will not get 100%. All right? You will pay a part of it for yourself.
Yes.
When you don't get 100%, it means that you're also contributing out of pocket, right, to cover the rest. So when you reduce the allocation to HELB, you're basically saying that it's for people then to pay for university out of pocket, not getting through loan, which they'll pay later. Okay? So what does this mean when you say funding reduction? What's the impact of this? And why would this be happening at this time when you're in the middle of implementing the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms report, when you're in the middle of implementing these reforms on education, university education? Is there a misunderstanding somewhere here that we are getting?
Yeah.
Is it that we are the ones who are not getting the whole picture? Or is it that the National Treasury is not getting the whole picture, or Parliament is not getting the whole picture?
What pictures are to be gotten, though? I don't understand. That there are students who need to go to school and they've applied to a board that was set up primarily for this. That there were those who are not going to be able to fund a university education, and the government in its wisdom decided, all right, well, let's create this board whereby we'll then be able to give loans to students. They will start paying after they've graduated from university and get into a job, etc., etc. It was for that purpose that it was created. You know that there will be needy ones. I find that there's a bit of a confusion of issues here. If you're giving loans to those who need it, give them. The categorization thing for me doesn't make sense. Most needy, less needy, so then you get 80%, then you get 60%, the rest you have to come for yourself. No. And I think the people that we say come and get help that actually don't need it are in the minority, and in the slight minority. Most of the people who apply for help loans need the money to be able to fund a university education. They do. Why do we have to categorize and say that, okay, let's see how we can mix this, gather this, join here? Why? Because then it conflates issues here completely.
Which is why I was saying I'm confused.
I'm really confused.
Because
I don't understand.
HELB is not a bursary.
It isn't. It is a loan.
HELB is a loan.
Yeah.
But on the categorization, it's about bursaries and scholarships, all right? So there are people who will get 100% scholarship from the government. That means the government will pay for you. You will not have to repay. You've been paid for. Because you've been deemed to be completely needy. You're an orphan. You come from a very humble background. There's no way you're going to get money, and then there's no way you can start saying at you, oh, you finished your university after 4 years, or 6 years, or 7 years, and within the 8th year you start repaying. So you said we are supporting these extremely needy people, okay, with a scholarship. Then there's the bursaries that come in. So you get a bursary here and there, and then there's a loan. A loan you will repay.
You will pay it back.
So when you reduce the amount of money that goes into HELB, what does that mean? And also, HELB, does it need to keep receiving an increased allocation of money? And yet, as we stand here today, there are more people who are repaying back into HELB than there were last year.
Exactly.
Does HELB's kitty grow organically? In terms of the people who have been repaying, the people who were in university in the 90s and they received HELB, some of them are still paying, some have finished paying. In the early 2000s, some are still paying, some have finished paying, you know? So when you say you've finished paying, that money goes back into the kitty, HELB. And then every year there's a budgetary allocation for more money coming into HELB. Connie, how much capitalization does HELB need?
That is the question. And what because it is a fund that money keeps coming in, many could argue, on a very regular basis. So shouldn't that money then revolve and it goes back into disbursing of these loans that are needed to pay for students? What happens? And I think it has to be very clear in terms of how much money is available at the moment, because every year more money from the national comes to HELB.
There's more money coming in.
And the loans that are being paid.
There are more people who are repaying.
Exactly.
The loans.
So where does it come from? So how do you then now say, because we're not going to get a national treasury allocation of 11.4 billion, then therefore people will not go to school because we cannot give them loans? Where is the money that's coming in from people who are paying? People who graduated 10 years ago are still paying HELB till today. Monthly, there's money that goes into HELB. Where does that money go? And how can you now say that over over 100,000 students will not get money to go to school?
It's a very high number.
That's a very high number, my friend.
That's a very high number.
And it's not maybe you'll get 20% or 50%. You will not get. Principal Secretary has said that we will not give you HELB money. How? Out of nowhere? How? And you had planned for the 4 or 5 years of your college education, university education, you depended on this HELB money because you started off in first year, you got it in second year, then GAFLA, third year, somebody's telling you, we will not give. Where does the money go that comes in from repayments? And we know very well that even when you get your first job, HELB is there saying, excuse me, sir, where is our money?
Ednah, let's look for these two people, these two gentlemen. We need to look for Monari of Universities Fund and Ringera of HELB. They sit here, both of them, and tell us, so you, Monari Universities Fund, you're implementing this whole thing of who gets a bursary, who gets a scholarship, who gets blah, blah, blah. You, Ringera, at HELB, you're determining how much you're giving as a loan to each applicant and whether you're rejecting some applications or not, what's it based on. And how much money is then required actually between these two institutions to support university education? Because this university's fund is one that's also managing the differentiated unit cost. So you're saying that this is how much needs to go. So if the School of Medicine, for example, it costs more to train a doctor than it costs to train another, program. So if the School of Medicine is taking this much money, you're only paying 45% of this. A school that does not have a medicine program, is it getting less? What's all this?
It doesn't make sense to me.
There's a lot of confusion here. There's not confusion really, just lack of awareness and understanding what exactly is happening in this funding model? And when we say we are rolling it out, what exactly are we saying? Because they reviewed it and they said, okay, so the way we have started, we are on course. There was a meeting yesterday between the president and the VCs. We are on course. And they said that within the next 3 to 4 years, we will have brought universities that are currently struggling under heavy financial burden will have normalized operations.
No, okay.
That universities now will be able to run. They'll not be having cash crunches. Universities that you've been having all these courses left, right, and center.
We're going to now either remove them or we're going to consolidate this, that, the other.
Decide that the University of Nairobi has a school of law, has a school of medicine, has a school of engineering and architecture and all these things. And then we have the other one in Kikuyu that deals with education and international relations and diplomacy. And so if you're doing a diplomacy, you and your Voi University, and you only have 2 guys who have applied for international relations,
then you have
have
thousands. Then
let that person be admitted to UN.
Yeah.
Through yeah. On the issue of consolidation and scrapping of these programs, I fully support. I think there are universities that just went overboard with everything.
And offered everything.
Yes. Yeah. You need to specialize. We know Egerton University to be an agriculture-based university. Focus on that. There are so many areas of agribusiness and looking at all those value chains that you can train people on.
Look at the numbers here.
KU, the one in Juja's got it.
JKUAT.
Yeah. Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Focus on agriculture and technology. If it is KU has always been known very, very good on the arts. Go big on the arts.
No, there's something that doesn't make sense here, and it's across board. When we're looking at those who sat KCSE last year and then we're going to university, and then KUST tells us that in May, many people did not go to school, or did not actually place. Then now you want to come and see that there are very many students who are in universities today who will not get help. Don't you think that's a discouraging factor for those who even might need that help and can look at what's going on and they say, oh, wait a minute, I'm not even going to bother if this is the case. I think there are very many factors that are playing out here. I think there's an overcomplication of this process for the funding that goes towards this. If there's a funding mechanism in place, why do we have to conflate issues in the categorization, for example, on a loan that you're going to pay back anyway? Number 2, the money is being paid by the hundreds of thousands of students who've gone to school over the last 30, 40, 50 years. They're paying to date. Where does that money go? If you can't answer that, you cannot preclude others then from getting this money because you're saying the National Treasury has not given you 11 billion. Where's the money that has been coming in over the years? What happens to that?
Big questions. We will look for them, Ednah. We'll look for Ringera of HELB and we'll look for Mr. Momanyi of the Universities Fund. They need to come and explain this entire university funding and fees model, and then we'll also hear from the current students on what's actually going on. It's 9:30. Let's take this break. Tell us about the weather and traffic, and then we'll continue. Sawa.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to start...
You know that feeling where there's a pain at the back of your head? What? You almost want to... But what about that moment when the pain finally starts to fade away? That moment when you go back to ordinary, to being your best self again. And it feels so good.
Get effective release from strong pain with Panadol Extra. Panadol. Release starts here. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice. Always read label before use.
They say, when someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. It is in these moments you need a partner who will celebrate the memory of a loved one in a special way. Berur FM, in partnership with the Standard newspaper, is giving you a combo offer.
Do you have the passion, the interest to tell a story to the world in your own style? Well, we're ready to take you in and help you grow your talents in the media industry. The Standard Group, in partnership with Talanta Institute, is offering a media training and incubation program courtesy of Standard Talanta Academy, where we nurture and guide industry talents on an array of topics from writing, reporting, media law and ethics, investigative journalism and research to the Kenya Copyright Board, Kenya Film Commission and the Kenya Films and Classification Board legal frameworks. To apply to the Standard Talanta Academy for our upcoming May intake, visit www.talanta.ac.ke or call 0724 468 46.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Mostly cloudy conditions in Nairobi is 18 degrees. The sun will peek through at some point and we'll see highs of 24 and lows of 15. Lows of 13 in a sunny Nakuru at 19, and it's 19 and sunny in Nyeri with highs of 25. 25 will be the high in a sunny Eldoret at 17. We're looking into a sunny Mombasa with highs of 30 and a sunny Malindi with highs of 30 as well. Kisumu at 25 is sunny. We'll see highs of 29, and it's sunny at 24 in Kakamega, going to highs of 29. Kampala is sunny at 25. We'll see highs of 29, while Dar es Salaam will see highs of 31. All right, it's sunny at 14 in Johannesburg, and at 30 Mogadishu is sunny with highs of 32, and Addis Ababa at 21 will see highs of 28. Lagos sunny at 28, and into Kinshasa cloudy at 25. It's 14 and cloudy in Paris, and 14 and sunny in London. New York at 18 is clear. Coming into Wednesday, we'll see highs of 25 and lows of 16.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
Okay, so also traffic then seems to have subsided for the most part. Just a little bit left on the thicker superhighway and also coming in on Kiambu Road. I think we're coming out of it, and also that remains coming off of Wangari Maathai Way, heading towards museums and on Uhuru Highway. SpiceFM KE on X through the morning. Let's keep things moving.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Tangazo. There's a party called the New Democrats.
Oh, they're looking for
the New Democrats. There's already a registered party called the New Democrats. Okay? Mm-hmm. Now, the officials of the New Democrats are in the market with their briefcase. They want to hand over this briefcase to new people who will take over the New Democrats and make it the New Democrats with superpower and powerful. Those people apparently will be people like Kina Mutahi Kahiga. Mwalimu Mutahi Kahiga is the current governor of Nyeri County. He's a very close ally of Rigathi Gachagua Geoffrey, who is the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. The Secretary General of TND, the New Democrats, David Musembi, has confirmed to the nation that the party has been in talks with people allied to Mr. Gachagua for a possible political deal. There have been talks, but there is nothing tangible to speak about at the moment. Maybe something will come out much later, according to Musembi, who declined to give names of the DP's allies who have been engaging with him. The Registrar of Parties, Ann Nderito, told the nation that the party had made applications to make changes in its list of officials. She, however, could not provide specific details as she was away from the office. There's a gentleman called Jimmy Kibaki.
Okay.
Jimmy Kibaki is the son of the former President Mwai Kibaki, who resigned as the party's deputy party leader early this month. He was the deputy party leader of TND. Jimmy Kibaki. He told the nation that he has heard some rumors that Gachagua is interested after Jimmy quit the party. Yeah. He says he has heard some rumors that there are people who are interested. Me, I'm no longer in that party. Me, I've quit.
Somebody wants it.
Another reliable source said the DP is also reaching out to some political players, including a former top government officials in former President Uhuru Kenyatta's administration for a possible political deal. A former top government official in former Uhuru informal deal. He has acquired a political party and recently approached a governor from Western Kenya to be part of his team. He even asked him to plan a meeting with a senior former cabinet minister so that they can discuss future politics. This is a source within the presidency. A governor from Western Kenya.
You decide who that could be.
You know, Western starts from Trans Nzoia, going elsewhere.
That's from, yeah.
Yeah. From Trans Nzoia. Gachagua at the weekend accused some allies of Ruto in his Rift Valley backyard of being used to undermine him. Some few politicians who are around the president want to meddle with Mount Kenya politics, to fight me. Mount Kenya politics are so complicated, my friend. What we don't like, betrayal. As Mount Kenya, we have never interfered with Rift Valley politics, and we deserve respect, said the DP. It was an issue of the weekend. Somebody who was speaking to the nation during an exclusive interview is Mr. Kahiga. It's true, battlefronts have been opened against the DP. One is the Gen Z group, which believes that it is their time to assert themselves in leadership positions. And since they don't have the guts or muscle to take on the presidency, they opt for the seemingly weaker of the two, the DP. They are operatives with close proximity to Dr. Ruto, including his media and social media strategists. The others are his friends who've been around him for long, the young MPs from the mountain. Kahiga noted that the other group fighting the DP is the G7. The G7 are those women governors.
Oh, there's a Governor 7.
Yes.
Got it.
It is being fronted by Anne Waiguru under the guise of seeking to increase the number of female governors in the next election. Kahiga said she's using that as a ploy to strategically place herself as a possible replacement of Gachagua.
So even them, they are moles.
70 women governor. Nothing. She has
wants to be running mate.
Who wants to be running mate.
Oh, okay. Why are people angry?
So, Gachagua, Rigiji, is looking at his political options. What's going on?
You know, this is how things started before. It is being said that he is the one who is looking for a new party. And the reason why he's looking for this new party is because he himself and the president have fallen out.
Yeah.
Out of what is left to you or whatever.
Love.
Okay, sour, if that's what, sails your boat. Now, looking for this new party in order to do all of these things, who has decided that there's been a falling out? Or do we say that where there's smoke, then there most assuredly is or has been fire? Yeah? There's something that's amiss. Ikokitu. That's amiss. So the man, the deputy president, has seen, you know what? If I am to make any moves, the time to do it is now. If you want to speculate, you can speculate until the cows come home. But the truth of the matter is that if I'm to make a move, where I know very well that in 2027 I want to be somewhere, I don't want to be tossed out like yesterday's, bread. I want to make sure. But are we not seeing the same thing that happened with now President William Ruto when it came to looking for a party? Suddenly we heard people have left Jubilee, people have registered another party, but it's not really me or it's not the other person. The rumblings are of something. And it is very rare that you hear things like this when something has not occurred.
Yeah.
There's definitely something. Ikokitu definitely going on. Whether it is the right time to start doing things like this is really totally up to you. And whether this particular caboose is going to have any steam is also a different question. But is it necessary for us to be dabbling in this kind of back and forth at this time? I think for me remains the biggest of all questions.
The thing is, that there's something happening. The way Gachagua spoke over the weekend in Rift Valley, he did not mince his words. He was very clear that he is being fought. Previously we'd say, it's other people, it's Kina Kahiga who are standing in church and they're saying it, and the deputy stands up and says, we are working very well with the President William Ruto and I. This time, Gachagua himself said, there are people who are from your region here, yours, to young boys who are coming to Mount Kenya to try and plant seeds, and they are working with some people in Mount Kenya, and they're trying to divide Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya is united. We are not dividing Rift Valley. Why would you come and divide? We worked so well together. We delivered a government. Why would you be wanting to? Would your boys be wanting to come and split from Kenya?
It's these Gen Z people who are now bringing some drama here that we just don't want to be able to.
And he was very direct and categorical that there is something that's going on that he's unhappy about.
I think there are multiple recipients of this message. And then when you put it out so plainly, like you said before, it was couched, but now this is him. He's not sending any emissaries. He's not sending anybody to deliver the message. He's saying it for himself, that I do not like what is happening, first of all. But secondly, who is you who sent the boys to come and talk to me? Or who is it who has sent the boys, essentially?
With whose blessings are these Gen Z operating? And
with such wanton abandon that they can say what they want, how they want, where they want, and to whom they want. It's got to have the blessing of somebody, does it not?
It can only be one person.
Exactly.
The only one person who can bless such a thing can only be their boss. All right?
Exactly.
It's just, if it is not Gachagua who is blessing them, it's not some business persons in Rift Valley as sponsoring this thing, because Gachagua would have said, these guys are being sponsored by some business person who thinks he has money and he can't play politics. Politics and business will not mix. No. It is people who are political players in Rift Valley who are youthful and and they're in our party. I think it's just the cows are coming home to roost. Maybe a bit too early. Maybe it's just the nature of our politics that's going on. Maybe it's a curse of the deputy. That a deputy comes in thinking that we are partners, and you realize you're not. If you think about it, in the early bromance years of Uhuruto, where they would come out together, white shirts, red ties, calling each other William. Thank you, my brother William.
Thank you, Uhuru.
My brother William. And saying, I saved this guy as FP a long time ago because they knew he was going to be the future president. And, we're buddies, we work together. And the deputy president then was operating sort of with a free hand. It appeared like, he was operating with the blessings of the president in going and running things and holding meetings and representing the president here and there and talking about our government and what we are doing. We as Jubilee, we are determined to do this. He would come out and talk about, SGR, this is the way to go. He'd defend many government projects and say, we as a Jubilee government, we are doing this and the other. He would say, we as a Jubilee government. And the system that is there in government does not know a we. No. The system of Kenya government knows one person's government. It is Kenyatta's government, it is Moi's government, it is Kibaki's government. Two centers of power, never not work in Kenya. And so that system went and woke Uhuru up until Uhuru Wewe. It is your government. And that's the point when Uhuru started now showing that it is my government. And the first person to be shown that the government belongs to the one person who is the president was the deputy. He had to be shown. Think about Rigathi. Rigathi, with all these appointments and, going to say, maybe William Ruto nakana hapo. Nawambia shareholder ndio tutapatia kazi kwanza. Alafu nyinyi wengine, wajua mimi tutapanga kazi na mimi, the government of William Ruto and I, Rigathi was saying William Ruto and I. In our government, we are doing shareholders. Talking to Mount Kenya and saying, I have secured the fat cake for our people, my friend. We have cabinet, we have PSs, we are in all these appointments. I am bringing the cake home. The system has come to tell him,
excuse me.
It is not a William Ruto and I government, it is a William Ruto government. And maybe this is what now Rigathi is realizing,
but if what you're saying, if the truth that the curse of the DP is an alive and thumping thing, then there should be the realization that, look, my friend, it is in name only. As you get into that seat, the time for you to start fighting for yourself, ding ding, the minute, in fact, that should be it. Nikiweka Biblia chini, jua tu, my friend.
Tunaanza vita.
That is where it starts. Unless you're out, my friend, you're out. And maybe that's the realization that it's only a matter of time before you realize, you know what? If expediency is that thing which I seek, then I must also start drumming up support today. Did you ever imagine that there would be a time where Rigathi Gachagua would say, we're asking for forgiveness from Mama Ngina, and we're also asking for forgiveness from Uhuru Kenyatta, and we're asking you to please come and help us unite the region? not less than 1 year after drama had erupted. Would you have imagined? So if he sees that it is clear that there will not be a two-man presidency. It is an administration of the one who is called the president. And you, my friend, are out in the cold and the rain. If you figure that out, and it could be the same thing that William Ruto figured out when he realized, wait a minute, even this 10 years that they said they were going to give me, I have to start making inroads. And that is when that Tanga Tanga movement was born. That you need to say, you know what, we need to go and start drumming up support here and there and let people know that I am actually a candidate for this thing in the future. And it worked. It would not be so far removed to imagine that Rigathi Gachagua is doing the same thing.
He has realized.
Yes.
Is there an option for a deputy to actually just chill?
Chill and do it.
Just chill.
To just do the deputy work at B and come and go home.
Yeah, Mudi Awori did it.
Yeah.
Mudi Awori just chill.
Finish,
man.
we go home.
You just chill. The president is Mwai Kibaki. I am the vice president. I am chilled. I am relaxed. All right? There's no time when, Mudi Awori would sit there. You actually did not feel like Mudi Awori was a cop president.
He filled his role. It looks as though the deputy president's position now has become an aspirational one for president.
Yeah.
That so long as you occupy that seat, that position, your aspiration is to be president at some point, and you will abandon everything else that you're supposed to be doing. CEO IBEC, CEO putting together departments of ministries, what these other things. Drumming
it is launching.
Yes, and to the point now you're seeking to create a new party. If not that a party is a political vehicle to launch you in a particular position, you would not be going there.
And you're using state largesse for all these things.
Exactly.
Then should we change that part of our law that gives the deputy president security of tenure? Make a DP like other cabinet secretaries. You serve at the pleasure of the president. Moi did this very well.
And if he wants to reshuffle and remove no, you're done.
Kibaki, no, Josephat Karanja. Josephat Karanja ametoka university. Mwenje, toa Karanja. Mwenje, Karanja out. Sasa Karanja ameenda at where you teach math in University of Nairobi. Kuja, deputy president. Saitoti. Okay. Saitoti, I'm going to operate without a deputy president for some time. Like that. And so the DPs are sitting there, they're all, you do not know.
No.
This thing could change. Because it started changing in 2002. Kibaki came in. Yeah, he could fire Kijana Wamalo had he not died. He could fire him. But it was all understood that no. This was a partnership that was born before the election. Kijana Wamalo of Ford Kenya, Mwai Kibaki of DP had come together to form the National Alliance of Kenya with Charity Ngilu. And Kijana Wamalo was in that position because they had negotiated it.
You have to ask the question that because an individual who comes in as your running mate is the person who becomes your DP. And that is your understanding from the word go. But do people use the position of running mate to deliver the win? And now you must start to ask yourself, after that win has been... They claim. After that win has been secured, what happens to that position? And we don't have to look at Kenya alone. Look at the US, for example. It was clear that Biden and Kamala Harris had the female vote. She had the cultural vote. She had the non-Caucasian leaning vote. Because she's a woman, then she was an immigrant. Her father did what, blah, blah. Then her mother is Asian, all sorts of things. So
all the buzz.
Every T was crossed, I was dotted, delivered. Then after the presidency?
She's chilled.
Sindio.
It's a Biden presidency. It's the Biden administration.
It is.
Until the next election, this one that's coming up, where we'll see whether Biden will still pick her as the running mate. Is it a Biden
very well say
Harris? Is it a Biden Harris?
We don't know. And it is very possible for him to say that it is not. But have you seen her jumping up and down saying that...
Our government with Biden.
For where? Hers is to say, let's solidify the rights of people.
I head the Senate and that's it.
That's it.
So this this is it then. Because of this feeling that you picked me as a running mate because of my voting base, because of the base of the vote that I'm bringing to this. Therefore, we have agreed it's a 50-50 split of government, that we are co-owners of this government.
Yeah.
This is the nonsense that's happening in counties with governors, and we are seeing it at the national level.
It is.
Rigathi Gachagua has been behaving like, you know what, I brought the Mount Kenya. I'm the one who brought Mount Kenya.
How dare you not recognize me?
Do you know how many votes we brought into this basket?
Then you're bringing
it is because of my work. I'm the kingpin of Mount Kenya. Now somebody's trying to show you're not the kingpin of Mount Kenya. What do you mean? I'm the deputy president. I'm here to stay. You cannot fire me. So even if you try to, I can now stand up to you and tell you, where my friend, ninyang'anye pesa yote. Fanya vile Uhuru alikufanya. Usinipatie pesa, unaona unaweza kukata pesa nisikule smoking, kule inatoje?
Nini?
Zile masamaki zile za Norwegian. Salmon. Sema sasa nianze kukula mud fish.
Umena.
Hapa Sagana. Ndio nianze kukula mud fish ya Sagana kwa state and mimi ni deputy president. How? Now he's fighting it. If maybe we just remove this thing and say, you become president, you choose your deputy.
And remove this whole running mate aspect.
So now there's only one person who's playing the politics with this. It's a president. Because now we have a president playing politics with it through proxies. And then we have a deputy president who's playing politics with this directly.
Why is anybody surprised? Because that is what has happened. Why is anybody surprised that, okay, not too long into the game, I'm going to start, leaving you by the wayside. You will not follow me everywhere that I'm going, and it's going to be expected that, you face dust at some point. Why is anybody shocked? Because that's the practice. That's the way it has been, except for the example that you give of
Moody.
Even
Kalonzo.
Yeah, that's just the way it has been. So why do you expect that you'll be put on a pedestal here, or that you and the president will be doing?
Because those are the aspirations. Those are the aspirations that we put in the constitution.
But they're lies.
When we put those aspirations in the constitution, we said,
okay, I get what you mean. That the deputy should actually serve side by side.
The deputy supports the president. The deputy gets in here knowing that we are working as one. The president and the deputy work as one. The governor and the deputy, they work as one until the next election.
You know where that would work? If actually the needs of the nation were put before the political needs of individuals. That scenario that you talk about would work beautifully.
Is that possible?
That is what I'm saying. Is it possible? Because who right now can you say has actually been elected and is actually pursuing the needs of the nation above and beyond anything else? The needs of the nation and its citizens. As an elected leader, it doesn't matter whatever level you are at. Who is actually pursuing tooth and nail? Like now, for example, the needs of a
president who's in office. What else are they looking for?
You think they've reached the highest heights of actualization?
So what more do they want?
Because what else can you do? Be the president of what? You've been the president.
Because you can see the deputy will be saying, I have an ambition, I want to be president. Yeah. So the president, the only thing is just re-elect me.
It is.
Right?
But look. This very thing that we're talking about right here, this headline on The Nation, a new party. Why are they picking a new party? Do you think that it is because there's certain aspirations of Kenyans that have not been delivered by UDA? That is why?
Yeah.
It is you as an individual.
Yeah, because
it is your needs and aspirations.
Because we came together, just the same thing that Ruto was saying. We came together, we had an ambition, we had a plan. And then this handshake thing came and just derailed the whole thing. I want to actually come in using a different vehicle to actualize that same plan.
What do you think would be what Gachagua says right now, based on what you've just said?
Our
that
farmers
we came in as UDA to do 1, 2, 3, and that's not being. So I need to bring in a new party in order to do it. What?
Haven't you heard him saying? Now you're increasing taxes for our farmers, and that's not good. Okay. That's not what we promised our hustlers.
That's not what we said we would do.
Hustlers are not to start getting the pain of taxation, and that's exactly what you're doing. That's what you're saying. He's wondering, why are we seeing these Gen Z boys and girls
jumping on helicopters everywhere
with so much cash?
You come and support a program, and yet with
Kenyans in across the country have just suffered devastations of flooding. Instead of taking that money to support people who are affected by floods, you are going in a helicopter, going to show at Harambe here, Harambe there to build a church.
Is that what we agreed?
Is that what we... That's... When we went to the people, we were honest.
Okay, yeah.
And what I'm seeing now is dishonesty by the Gen Zs. Maybe with their... I don't know. But maybe it's about...
He said, I don't know. So this new party, essentially what you're saying is the one who's going to deliver this thing of honesty and this, that, blah, blah.
We have fallen short. We have derailed and gotten off track. And we need to get back on track. And because this guy has colonized that wagon, we are getting a different wagon to put it on the tracks. Sawa. That's the future of this country.
That's
where honest people shall lead.
Trying to stifle laughter. But what we're seeing is that this is going to be the trend. That it doesn't really matter.
This is a very dangerous
thing. It is a
thing.
very dangerous thing because it doesn't matter who it is that comes in and runs by your side into any election, who you are. I'm using you to get to where I'm going. When I've reached where I'm going, I'm okay. But you have seen, wait a minute, I actually had aspirations. There was a promise perhaps that was made to me. There's something that was said that is my fuel to keep going. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to demean everything, everyone, everywhere you go, speak to. Because I need to show people that I'm the one who's actually serious about this thing. It was me who was the one who believed that we cannot be charging people extra taxes. We cannot be throwing money in the faces of Kenyans who don't have it. I'm the one who's still upright. I'm an honest man. I'm the one who was serious about this thing. Now can you see?
No, I think the problem is with the character of the deputies. I think the deputies need to get into office knowing that they're completely tamed.
William Ruto is now the president.
You need to neuter the person that you pick as
President
your
William Ruto is now the president.
Exactly.
Are you saying that he should have been neutered at some point when he was DP?
Yeah.
Instead of tanga-tanging
everywhere. Give him back his things after I finish the term.
He would have told you that actually that would not have worked because now he's president. Had he not done what he did, he would not have been president today.
No, he'd have campaigned nicely, come in and argue his case. But not spending 5 years. 5 years where you are not serving as a deputy. You are not getting the support of your principal. You are working at loggerheads. You're basically just having a dysfunctional government. All your people that you said, you came in with all these powers and thinking, so I'm going to cool half of my cake. So I put in people here. All of them are removed from office. You're destabilizing institutions because of people being jailed left, right, and center. Kamata Fridays. All those things are happening because of bad politics. It's the same thing that we are seeing here with Gilgali. It's bad politics. You get into office, you're a deputy, you start behaving like you have 50% share. You do not have
nothing.
It's not yours. You should know that. It's 10 a.m. Thank you for tuning in to the Situation Room today. Tomorrow is the second Friday of the week. Have a lovely one.
Life.
It's now 10 a.m. Get effective.